2020 Vision Radio,
your 24-hour companion.
Need steel fabrication, reliable transport, pure water delivered right to your door? This is Hector and Associates, where we don't just deliver goods, we deliver trust, quality, and excellence. From expert steel fabrication that supports your building projects to stress-free package delivery around Nevis, and even Blue Mountain water supplied fresh, chilled, and refreshing. At Hector and Associates, we build, serve, and give back to our community. Call Hector and Associates today and experience a partner who elevates your project and your trust. From steel to services, we've got you covered. Hector and Associates, delivering excellence every time. Visit us on Long Point Road, Nevis, or call us at 662-8325. 662-8325.
Yes, if you tell me, I will tell them that Tell Me is on.
Did somebody say tell me? Then tell me about it. Tell Me with host Carlisle Powell.
There are talk shows, and then there is Tell Me, your very credible source for information. Join us every Thursday night. You certainly won't be disappointed.
Alongside Dr. Kelvin Daly.
Panic and fear, uncertainty that is compounded by a leadership that appears unprepared, uncertain, and indecisive in dealing with the coronavirus pandemic.
And Tulu Weeks.
Until God gets a hold of our Premier's life and transform him, he will go from bad to worse.
We are tired of playing politics. We need to see policies that will change the life of people, especially those of us in the diaspora.
Tell me. Carlisle, I want all women in Nevis rally for change.
Every Thursday at 8 p.m., you can be a part of this conversation by calling 669-7312. That's 869-669-7312. Also available on WhatsApp. Or from the diaspora, 917-460-2187.
Every Thursday night from 8 to 10 p.m. with host Carlisle Powell on 2020 Vision Radio and Facebook.
Do you know what you're drinking? If you are drinking plastic bottled water, chances are you're consuming plastic contaminants, BPA, and other hormone-disrupting chemicals you cannot see with your naked eye. Those empty plastic bottles take up to 450 years to decompose. In the meantime, plastic bottles are polluting the environment. They are dangerous to the planet and our health. The safer solution is to acquire your own Kangen alkaline water filtration system, and you'll never have to buy toxic bottled water again. Help save the planet and drink clean water for less than the price you'll pay for acid plastic bottled water over the next few years. The Kangen technology is the world's most popular, most acquired water immunizer. For more information, you can call or WhatsApp us on 917-207-1307. That's 917-207-1307. Change your water, change your life.
Pico, the way to go for residential, commercial, and industrial wiring, data, security, UPS, and generator installation. When you need electrical work done now, done right, done at an affordable price, contact Finney's Electrical Company. Call or WhatsApp 665-1916 or email pico_1166@yahoo.com. Pico, the way to go.
The views and opinions expressed on this program are strictly those of the participants and do not represent those of 2020visionradio.com or its advertisers. This 2020 Vision Radio 102.1 FM program is being simulcast weekly on the Caribbean Broadcast Network, heard on CBN Superstation 90.9 FM, Go Loud Digicel app, covering the entire U.S. and British Virgin Islands, and CBN TV on Flow Channel 101 and on CCT TV Channel 291. We do appreciate our U.S. and British Virgin Island and listeners and viewers joining us for these informative and entertaining programs on 2020 Vision Radio and 102.1 FM.
Tell me what you want. Tell me what you need. Tell me if I'm good enough for you, good enough for you, Tell me what you want.
Thank you very much, Beanie Man. And we're going to go straight into the show tonight because we're starting late. Perhaps I should tell everybody from the beginning that we'll do some overtime. So don't worry about the time that we lost. We had planned to do some overtime anyhow. But it just means that we'll be going past 10 o'clock. Tulu, stop watch me like that. I'm not going too much farther than 11 o'clock. So stop watch me like that. I never see two people like overtime more than Daly and Tulu, and they're not getting overtime pay. So, but we're going to do some overtime this evening. We have with us this evening Dr. Patricia Bartlett. And she has an open invitation. Only two we ever issued. One to her and one to Hastings. And we gave her Hastings zone, so she has two. We don't see her as often as we should see her. But she's here with us this evening. And we have a whole lot of stuff to go through. So we're not going to waste a lot of time. Let's deal with the birthdays and we'll get through these nice and quick. Tomorrow, Nevis will stop for the birthday of Floris Finley. Floris is my friend. We whole Nevis will stop and salute Floris tomorrow on his birthday. And we're shouting him out early from now. I have one of my childhood friends, Yvonne Daniel. She will be celebrating her birthday tomorrow as well. Valencia Herbert and Theodore Daniel, Dr. Theodore Daniel, they come up on Saturday. Birdman comes up on Sunday. Birdman, Rhonda said that I should make sure that I tell you that she wishes you well. And the same thing with Stocky. Stocky is coming up on Monday. That's Fitzroy Stocky Stapleton. Birthday greetings to you from Rhonda and the rest of everybody who love you, including your darling wife, Debbie. On Monday as well, Jack and Jerry Cornelius will celebrate their birthday. On Wednesday, we have Pastor Davidson Morton, continue to pray for us. And Mrs. Sandra Willett will be celebrating on Wednesday as well. So those are the persons who I have on the birthday list. And so we can do the song early. And then we get down to some business. You ready, Daly? You know you are the leader of the choir.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. And from us in the studio, may you live to be 101 and us 101 minus a day, so we don't have to see you go. May God continue to bless you with good health, strength, and of course, wealth.
We're still going to go around the table and give out our greetings. So, Tulu, and I tell you again, every week I see you, I tell you I like your shirt. Somebody chose a really nice pink.
Yes. Good evening. It's good to be back again. This is another Thursday evening, and give God thanks for the privilege that we have of being here. And I encourage everyone to call up a friend, to call up a neighbor, even call up someone who you know are critical of this program. Tell them to listen. I guarantee that they'll find something to give them some knowledge, open up their understanding, make them better than what they are at the moment. Good evening to my sisters, Janet, Sylvia, Valerie. Kyron, good evening. Elvan, Ellie, Romello, and Mrs. Jeffers. My sweetheart, Lavanda, Rhonda, Helena, my sweet niece. And to all those who are listening, welcome. Happy to have you.
And across the table, Dr. Daly.
Yeah, let me say good evening to my family, of course. My brother Hugh in St. Croix. My brother Denny and his wife Trilla in New York. My brother Carl in Atlanta. My sisters Evan and Judith up there in Connecticut. My other brother Carl in Canada. And my brother right here on Nevis, Othniel Daly. And my good buddies over there at St. James, Turkey, Max, and Bose. And up in Westbury, Max. So, you know, we all are going to be having a wonderful time tonight. But if you're on FM Dial, Twitch, YouTube, or Facebook, we do apologize for the late start. It's something that we could not have controlled. But we're glad that you have taken the time to stay tuned in And so sit back, relax. We're going to have a blast right here with Dr. Bartlett.
And back across the table to Dr. Bartlett.
Yes, good evening to everyone.
I got to find your mic, and but you should be on mic 4.
Okay.
So, no, check your mic, see if it's on, because it should be on control number 4. The on off is normally higher up.
I thought it was on.
Looks, try that.
Yeah?
No, I'm still not hearing you, but you should be right there on that number 4.
So let me just use those just to say good evening. You'll sort me out afterwards.
Yeah,
yes,
you're
good evening to everyone. I just want to apologize for not being here as often as I ought to be, and I promise Carlisle that I would do better about it. And so tonight it's really a pleasure to be here. I don't have a fan base built up yet at Tell Me, like the other guys, and so I'm going to pass on that one. So hopefully by the time I come back, I would at least be able to recognize the people in the audience who are my fans. And good night to everyone.
Okay, and just say something on your mic again.
Yes.
I think I'm hearing you.
I can hear it now, yes.
Yeah,
okay.
I'm hearing you. Okay, so all I'll have to do is to increase the volume on you a little bit so I hear you nice and clear.
Okay.
And now let me say good night to, as usual, Mario's children, my sister Mary, and up there in Florida, she already messaged to find out if everything was okay. Yes, we're good. Just had a little issue with the sound. And Glenda, spent the weekend with Glenda down in St. Thomas. When I'm in St. Thomas, she's in charge of me. So, and she does a very good job. She was not great, but she was fantastic company nonetheless. My sister Mervet, Maria's last child, who celebrated her birthday yesterday. And Merv, when I see you the next time, lunch, breakfast, dinner, everything on me. She as well messaged to find out what's happening here with the program. My brothers, Everett and his family down there in Tortola. Of course, Trevor and his family here in Nevis. And I always like to include Alan. He celebrated a birthday this week. He and his lovely wife, Dahlia. And so I'm reaching out and saying greetings, good evening to you. And in St. Thomas, gentlemen, I bring greetings from Sam. Sam is my sister Glenda, her very good friend Tito's brother, and he says that he not just listen, he watch us every week. And so he said, when you go back, please give greetings to Tulu and to Daly. I didn't know him, but he picked me out in a store and he said, "You are Carlisle Powell." I wasn't talking, he just watched me say, "You are Carlisle." I said, "Oh, you know," he said, "I watch you every week." So when you go back, give greetings to the other 2 gentlemen in the studio. So Sam, greetings right back at you. And while we are there, and I don't want to forget at all, we did the greetings, but I also want to reach out to Jacinth Keynes, who lost her only son. And I want to reach out and say, Jacinth, we are giving you our love as well. Jacinth, I understand, is a regular listener and viewer of the program as well. And so we want to reach out to you now that you're hurting and say that you have our love as well here from Tell Me. That's what I have, gentlemen.
I have 2 notices.
Okay.
The first notice is coming from the Ivor Walters Primary School Sports Department. And they're having a barbecue grand fundraiser this Friday at the bus stop. And on the grill you have chicken, pork, and ribs. So you go out and support the Ivor Walters Primary School Sports Department as they try to raise some funds for their sports meet, etc., etc., etc. And the best breakfast on Nevis will be this Saturday, right there by Papa's Grill. St. Paul's constituency branch will be having their one-of-a-kind scrumptious breakfast. Only $20 for your choice of either liver or saltfish. Of course, Johnny cakes, pancakes, breakfast potatoes, salad, local drinks, and fresh on the menu we also have sauce, courtesy of Miss Isaac. And so come out and support. And if you feel generous, donate a breakfast to somebody who needs it, we'll greatly appreciate that.
Thank you very much. Let me make a correction. It's Diana Lawrence Clark who lost a son, her one son. So we are saying condolences to you and lots of love. Okay. We're going to start and delve right into the matters, but not before we say congratulations, Dr. Bartlett and Dr. Daly. You have been making the rounds on regional media. This SSZ thing is hot like ginger pepper. And so it's all over the place. Dr. Bartlett, you appeared on a media house out of Barbados. And again this week, you were down in St. Kitts and Freedom. And Dr. Daly, you went regional as well. You were on a show out of Barbados. I must tell you that I watched both of you good people. And the presentations were very, very informative. I think people out there are getting knowledge that they had no idea about. And so, how was it, Dr. Bartlett?
Well, it was really an honor, to be able to advise our people as to what is going on. The awareness, we say it's an awareness campaign. Of course, there are people out there who think that we should be doing more. I'm hearing people complain. It seems like we're talking too much on the radio now. First, they were saying that we're not doing enough. Now we're saying we're doing too much radio and we ought to be doing something else. But we still think that there are pockets in our society who have not yet, been well informed as it relates to the SSZ and the impact that it's likely to have on our people. And so I journeyed over to St. Kitts, and it's not my favorite trip because I don't necessarily like to go across the water, but I did that because I knew that it was necessary for us to at least be able to extend the courtesy to the people in St. Kitts and include them in the conversation, because in as much as they think that it is not their concern, I think I've alerted them that when their neighbor's house is on fire, it's time for them to start wetting theirs. And so I think that the conversation is it is picking up steam on St. Kitts even, and I'm glad to see that we have played our role in the whole thing in terms of informing people as it relates to other actions going forward. I'm hoping now that people have been sensitized and they understand that all of us have a stake in this. It's not a political issue. We don't want to dominate necessarily the conversation, but we have to keep this conversation going, because if other people are not stepping up to the plate to do the to step in and inform, then we think that is our civic duty. And so it was a pleasure for me to join Dr. Janice Daniel Hodge when we spoke to the people on the regional scene. And I think that we got the message out, and Dr. Daly came after he cemented it.
How was it last night, Dr. Daly? Very passionate.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to have to get you some karma so that every now and again I can tell you, take one.
It was brilliant. The host, Marcia Weeks, she fed into the energy, and it made it easier for me now to be myself, because you didn't get that look or that feel that she wanted me to, throttle back a little bit, and so it was comfortable for me to find a host that is willing to accept the kind of emotion and the passion of a subject, so that is so, incendiary in most cases. And I've been getting calls and commendations all day. Last night, I actually had turned my phone off at one point because people were calling and said they didn't understand all of these issues were so prevalent on Nevis. Even this morning, a friend of mine from Grenada called me and told me he caught the program, and he was well informed. People from St. Kitts have been calling me, asking me, telling me, encouraging to say continue to fight, because they did not understand. They've been hearing now from Dr. Bartlett, from Dr. Hodge and myself. I think is now cementing in their minds that this is something that we need to be fighting about. NRP has taken the lead, but the umbrella is big enough for everybody to fit under, to go forward together. It's unfortunate that more persons have not stepped forward, persons with influence and the means to fight this. People, they're sympathetic without committing themselves to the fight. And so I'm hoping, history doesn't judge them as badly as I would judge them, because, it's all hands on deck in my view. This is something that is It's the utmost importance to the survival of Nevis, who we are. And I think the conversation that shook the Bajans last night had to do with the quantum of settlers that are becoming, and we end up in a situation where we become a minority within our lifetimes, and so that is scary. That is very scary. I not to get into the program itself, but I heard the premier every time there is an outcry in a particular issue, he tries to plug that hole, and so he's been plugging holes all over the place, trying to quell whatever disturbances he seems to think that he needs to quell. And the one he tried to quell recently was the one about the voting rights, whether citizens of the zone will have the right to vote. And based on his conversation, which is on tape, he alluded to the fact that he will be moving a bill in the House to change the Constitution to prevent persons who are citizens from voting. I mean, I've never heard anything this ridiculous. So you're going to have essentially two types of citizens, those who can vote and those who can't. Which constitution can survive that? Can't. And anybody, any constitutional scholar who tell me, can convince me you're going to have two levels of citizens, then I really have to go back to school, because I never thought that was really possible. But even if it is possible, you're now opening the gate to deciding, well, if they have two types of citizens, then it can be 3 or 4 or 5, based on whatever you don't like about somebody. So you don't like gay people, we're going to put in the Constitution that they can't walk down Main Street. I mean, it becomes ridiculous when you speak about it. You know, that he is so brazen to tell people he can go in and change the Constitution.
He can't.
Gentlemen and lady, this thing has gone regional. And I tuned into a program called The Big Issues. And that program had Sam Conda, had a lady Gums from Anguilla, and a gentleman Christian from Antigua. From that Big Issues, I want to play a statement by Miss Gums.
And when I look from a historical context of this bill, I look at it from the standpoint that given the history of our islands coming out of the bowels of slavery, that there should be two things that should raise hackles on our backs as a people, as a Caribbean people. One is enclaves, and one would also be elitism. And I think that when our countries are looking at how they can continue to develop themselves, we should always do so mindful of our history. And certainly I would look at this. I mean, we can't tell Nevisians what they should or should not do, but I would look at it from the standpoint of Anguilla. And I would say if something like this were to arrive on our doorstep, I would be horrified, because it goes against the very grain of history and where we have come from. We cannot afford to give an inch. We cannot afford to genuflect any more than we have had to in the past. And setting up zones of this kind of nature, in my view, is genuflection. You are bowing to those and creating a concentric circle within your circle of a second class. And anytime you have a second class that is coming in a context of having superiority, capital, money, and you're then bestowing upon them the right to exist, reap the benefits of what your island has to offer, whether it is our clean air, our beautiful waters, all the things that give the comforts which they are looking for and cannot get in their own mainlands. And you're giving all these benefits, and at the same time, creating a inferiority complex among your own people, in my view, can never be beneficial. And so I would wager that I look at it as a cautionary tale, because, all our leaders, they rub shoulders together. And I certainly would be extremely, extremely disappointed if, for looking at how development should happen within islands, that we regress. And I consider a scenario of that nature.
I don't think you would want it more plainly said than that. And it is what we have been saying here in Nevis is a regression. You cannot have in any island the size of Nevis a place where our rules don't apply to them, where they don't have to pay duties and so on, and to prevent the government from peeping at their books, they said to us, here is a little pittance. We'll give you a little something every year, which is to prevent you from sending inland revenue or the tax department to come to look at our books. I mean, this is something that I thought I'd never hear anybody entertain in Nevis, but it's before us. Callers, please hold your calls a little bit. We want to get into the matters that we have before us. Hold your calls a little bit, and we'll indicate to you when we'll be able to take your calls. We started a little bit late, but we want to get into the matters. So this was a program from Antigua with somebody from Anguilla and Sam Kondo from St. Kitts and a gentleman, Christian, from Antigua. But they're addressing the issues which are pertinent to all of us.
What I discovered last night on the Marcia Weeks show was the fact that Nevis is not the first try for them. There's a movement afoot by very rich people who are trying to recolonize the entire Caribbean, not just Nevis, not just Barbados. It's a concerted effort by very, very wealthy people to reclaim this area for themselves. These are people who got more money than they know what to do with, and so this is just an exercise for them. They're very, very conservative in their views. They don't believe government should be involved in their lives. They don't want to pay any taxes. And so they are moving south to the Caribbean. And because they have recognized that the Caribbean is an easy target. You have leaders who are corruptible. You have leaders who have bankrupted the countries like we have here in St. Kitts and Nevis, owe quite a bit of money in national debt. Ours is about 600 million. We are just hemorrhaging. Our GDP is not growing. Foreign direct investment is at a standstill and declining, matter of fact. And so we are a perfect target. But it takes, even if you're a poor country, you'll still need an element of corruptibility. You still need an element of treason in your mind, that you don't care the consequence. You're simply going to go ahead. And that is exactly what we are seeing here. It is no accident that Nevis and St. Kitts became the target so easily. They've put it out there in their manifesto that this is the kind of people we are looking for. These are the kinds of governments we are looking for. Greedy governments, bankrupt governments. They've said it. I didn't make it up. They said it. All right? And you can't convince me that Mark Brantley or Dr. Drew and the cabinet of St. Kitts and Nevis and the NIA have not seen those words. And yet they're still proceeding. So that element of corruptibility now raises even higher. Why are they holding on and doubling down on this project when so many Nevisians and Kittitians have registered their disdain for this project? When all of the negative consequences are out there for everybody to see? Why are they doubling down and not retreating? This whole idea that you're going to have consultations after the fact. You've legislated. I mean, to me, that is the biggest insult to a democracy they can ever have. You are employing ministers of government. They didn't employ you. You are paying them a salary every month to do right by you, to consult with you. And what do you have happen? The pastor in London come say, you're going to consult. You want a bigger insult than that? That's not a slap, that's a kick.
I had a conversation with someone who said that they have some lands in the area, and they're upset because they're saying that here it is that these people are after my lands, but they haven't come and sat down with me yet. No, they were targeting, they're letting me know that they want it. But with the landowners, they do not have the courtesy to call us together and for us to discuss this matter. And the person said, under no circumstance I'm going to sell. And so we have that vexing issue, and we must understand that this thing was brought upon us by Mark Brantley and his wife, and we cannot exclude them. People must know. You heard the lady from Anguilla articulated how vexing a matter this and frightening it is. But we must know that it was brought upon us by our gullible premier and his dishonest wife.
But I think what makes it even more outrageous is that the actors involved are at the highest levels of our government. That would make it frightening. That the actors involved, the premier, his cabinet, the prime minister and his cabinet, that you have now corrupted the entire legislative branch of government. That is frightening. The entire legislative branch of government, the people that go into parliament to pass our laws, the people who approve projects, who can decide on all the vagaries of projects, they have been compromised on this. That is the most scariest part, because nobody is pulling back. No minister in Nevis has gone in a different direction than the premier. No minister on St. Kitts have gone in a different direction than the prime minister. You don't find that incredible? The AG, the highest law enforcement man in the island of St. Kitts and Nevis, has not gone different to the prime minister. You have this entire hierarchy in the legislature, in the entire island of Nevis and St. Kitts, who are holding one head on this. Where in the world do you see this?
Yes, Daly, I understand your passion, and I think a lot of us share the same sentiments. We can't imagine that we would have come to this. But you see, the thing is the reality is when the rubber hits the road, that is when you see the true nature of man. Because we've been saying all along and being quite critical of the way governance in this place has been taken for granted. Nobody's held accountable for anything. No one at this point in time they dismiss, and they have very little respect for the Constitution and the provisions in the Constitution that should hold them accountable. Nobody on that side could say come back. And you're talking about being corruptible. That is where the issue is. Because these people know what our vulnerabilities are.
There you go.
What you do is you take out the top, you compromise the top, and then everybody else fall in line. And that is what is happening. Because all we're seeing right now is just this full-throated approach to everybody supporting this bill, this act. You know, even though people are coming out and saying this act should be repealed, people like Charles Wilkin, people like Dwyer, all those people who we think understand the matrix and know what is at play, and these guys are still plowing along. They're still plowing ahead, and you're asking yourself, well, why? And we know that Nevis is a test case, because what they've been doing, and they have in their manifesto, they have been making admission to the fact that they are targeting these particular countries, countries that are broke, and we've heard that we are broke, and countries that are in crisis, and that is the level at which we are now. And so they are attacking us, and of course we have very little defense, because the same issues that they are attacking us on, we are so vulnerable that we're just caving in. And so when we look at our economy and how bad it is, that is the justification that the Premier has been using to sell this project to his colleagues. And so he's saying, boy, we stand to make a little money and get out of this thing not looking so bad. These people are offering to help us with the projects that have failed. And so if all of you don't want to have this stained on your record, make sure that you play along. You have to come along here. And so Nevis is the test case, because what they've done is that they recognize that we are the weakest link. And so they've broken into the Caribbean, and so all the other Caribbean islands need to start looking at what is going to happen here. All of them have a stake in this.
Of course.
And so it was heartwarming for us to know that Barbados, they're onto it and they're willing to, as much as they can, to assist us in the fight. Even if it is just for us to come on their programs, for us to be able to broadcast it to the world, they are willing to accommodate us. And for that we are grateful. And what we are saying to our people is, our people have to wake up. Because we've been hearing other people saying Nivisians need to wake up. We are not stupid people. We are 98% literate. We have been boasting that we are punching above our weight in all different, facets of life. And when it comes on this issue, as it relates to whether or not Nivisians are bright enough and strong enough to defend their territory, because this is what it's boiling down to. We have to get up and defend our own territory. I see that there's more of an effort on the part of the people in diaspora right now.
Yes.
They're quite vocal on this issue because they know what home means, because they've been away from here. Maybe the people who live here are taking home for granted, but we cannot take our lands for granted. And the thing is, we have to continue this fight.
Let me say, we are not taking any calls yet, and we won't be taking any calls until about 9:30. We are going to be doing some overtime tonight, and we will take your telephone calls. Somebody has been quite persistent in calling every 30 seconds. We are not taking your telephone calls yet. We will get to your telephone calls, but we need to be able to put the issues on the table so that those people who are joining for the first time or who haven't an idea as to what the issues are, we can bring them up to speed. So hold your telephone calls. We are going to lay out the program, our style, and then we will invite you to be a part of the program with us. Because sometimes when you take calls and we are talking on Craddock Road, when you look, somebody start talking on Government Road. And so we want everybody to be on the same page and the same road at the same time. Now, Mr. Sam Kondo, who served as Deputy Prime Minister in St. Kitts for nearly 20 years, was on the program as well, and he was asked if the SSZ project in Nevis and St. Kitts can work. Here is his response.
How could this work? Could it work at all, or is it something to be totally scrapped completely?
Well, I don't think it could work. And like Ms. Gum said, in bigger countries, that is why I began my point of departure was the models that they have that have those things. The Russian model, and in 68 square miles, 104 square miles and 50,000 people, that cannot work. And just to say to Ms. Gum that I'm sure I don't know if she knows, but I know she's been following it from what she said. But the idea is to get the agreement, Ms. Gums, to have public discussion, and the agreement is supposed to be going back to Parliament for further debate and discussion. But even so, I don't think that is no guarantee that if we leave it this way, that it will not happen how they are proposing it. Because when you go back to Parliament, it's the same people who passed the act will be there in Parliament to debate the agreement and could pass it. So I think what is happening now with the discussion, the public discussion, and the interaction and engagement that is going on, that is what is needed, so that the government could understand that this is unacceptable. It is reversing, taking us back to a state of development where we fought, where people gave their lives to move from, to increase to improve our development and remove our inequalities and all like that. And this bill, this act will not assist.
The same question was posed to Lawyer Gums in Anguilla, and this is her response.
I would just like to say for the record, because just in case this ever features at any point in time in Anguilla, I don't think my position would change. And I certainly also don't think that it could work for the very same reasons that I think that fundamentally, from a historical context, I go back to exactly what I said in the beginning: elitism, exclusivity, gated properties, and certainly this creature, which is on the macro level, is really not something that any Caribbean island, and I certainly in the context of Anguilla and its size, should seek to embark upon, simply because I think for the smaller islands in particular, it would certainly be.
In the 1950s, Robert Llewellyn Bratcher, now our first national hero, bought 396 acres down there at Indian Castle. Bought it from the Lake family. In 2025, Dr. Drew, who comes after Bratcher and from the same party, is siding with the opposition in the federal parliament, the government in Nevis. But he's lockstep with his supposed to be opposition, but his friend and buddy, to allow control of 4 square miles, potentially 6 square miles, and even more of Nevis, to get out of the control of the government and the people of Nevis. So Bratcher fought to get lands and bought estates, brought them under the control of the government. Mark Brantley and Drew are doing the exact opposite. They are willing to give up control of sizable acreage in Nevis. And maybe Dr. Drew is not making too much noise because no proposal has come to him yet. But there's a proposal on the desk of his good friend, the leader of the opposition, his very good friend and dear confidant, Mark Brantley. So together, they are lockstep and joined at the hips in ceding control of lands in Nevis to these libertarians. Don't make any sense to me. We are going to come back after these ads.
Do you know what you're drinking? If you are drinking plastic bottled water, chances are you're consuming plastic contaminants, BPA, and other hormone disrupting chemicals you cannot see with your naked eye. Those empty plastic bottles take up to 450 years to decompose. In the meantime, plastic bottles are polluting the environment. They are dangerous to the planet and our health. The safer solution is to acquire your own Kangen alkaline water filtration system, and you'll never have to buy toxic bottled water again. Help save the planet and drink clean water for less than the price you'll pay for acid plastic bottled water over the next few years. The Kangen technology is the world's most popular, most acquired water immunizer. For more information, you can call or WhatsApp us on 917-207-1307. That's 917-207-1307. Change your water, change your life.
Pico, the way to go for residential, commercial, and industrial wiring, data, security, UPS, and generator installation. When you need electrical work done now, done right, done at an affordable price, contact Finney's Electrical Company. Call or WhatsApp 665-1916 or email pico_1166@yahoo.com. Pico, the way to go.
Listen, we are back live on Tell Me. And gentlemen and lady, Tulu Live. Gentlemen and lady, we have seen 3 videos so far of areas, an area over in the south of Nevis. The first one was done by Young Jones, and then we saw a release with one from Banky, where they are talking about spring up and where the water is warm. Some say hot. There were some people who were actively refuting this and calling it a fib. And I don't know why, because I spoke to Gene Liebert last week, Thursday or sometime. And Gene and his family ran cows in that area. And Jean made it clear to me that when they had to move from Ramsbury, because that area had now been sold, subdivided, and people were putting down houses, that they took their cows over there. And Springott is where they watered their cows. Now, I'm sure that Jean had no discussion with a Mr. McLevon Stapleton from Brownhill, who lives in the US. And of course, he approached me and started talking about the SSZ. And he said to me that as a youngster, that they had cows. And he told me that there is an area that they call Springott that they use to water their cows. So this is an area which is known to people who have been hiking that area and who have been farming in that area. Now today, gentlemen, I saw a third video. So let me see if I can pull up that third video.
All right, peeps, over in the area where the young man found the spring with hot water coming up out of the ground. So that's the wall he was talking about there. And this is the water coming up out of the ground. I cleaned it out a little bit so you guys could see properly. So I had to move back some stone and channel it out a little bit, and you can see the water just springing up. You can see the heat. You can see the steam. See the camera getting fogging up now. And you can see the flow of the water. You can see the sediments. You can see the sediments pouring coming out of the ground, you know? And let's test the water and see. Yes, gotta take your hand out. The water is pretty hot here. So this is the natural spring, and this goes and empties into the sea, which is that way. So yes, peeps, there you go. Another natural spring found in Nevis. Who would have thought? So it's a beautiful area, as you can see. So anybody have time, they could go up and check it out. Remember, Nevis nice, let's keep it that way.
I was absolutely amazed today when a very dear friend of mine sent me some Google videos. And when you look at the Google videos, I showed it to Tulu and Dr. Bartlett. Dr. Daly, there are other areas over there, some bigger than this area, where you have indication of water. Now, here is my challenge. Our Premier, the Honorable Mark A.G. Brantley, has been on 14 trips for 2025. A total of 62 days out of the Federation, out of St. Kitts and Nevis, that we have to pay for. On an average, his per diem is north of $30,000. It would not cost Mark Brantley that much to go on a hike over there to verify and to ask himself the question, what the hell am I doing allowing foreigners to come into Nevis and get control of the assets of Nevis, including springs and thermal springs? And if he is not feeling guilty about it, then something must be wrong. Pat, you're shaking your head in disbelief.
No, because he's on record and saying that that area is barren and there's no use. It's practically useless, and it was almost to the point of saying you might as well just give it away. Give it away and let somebody else develop this area for you, because it really is no value. And so I'm glad that these videos have come out. Of course, it has built awareness, because some of us really didn't know, because in my growing up days, my brothers could go to the bay, because my dad used to be a fisherman in that area. And so they could go, and so they would explore those areas. But I was never aware that we had that kind of value in the land down in that area. And so these people, I would have made the comment today and made the observation that these people have studied this thing. They know the area. They know it better than us. And they have a jump start on us in terms of the acquisition of the lands in that area. They've been very quiet about it. It's like stealth-like. They've gone about their business, and so by now that the story has broken, they have a head start on us, and we have to do some catch up fast. So I'm hoping that I think some people are planning an excursion in that area, and I hope to be a part of it. I'm not usually a morning person, but I think Sunday morning I'm going to get up early because I want to see it for myself. It is very impressive, especially that video from Jermaine. He does some very good videos of Nevis, by the way. I'm very proud of him. He's from Browning, you know. Yeah, but yeah, man, it's a beautiful area. I mean, where is the Nevis offers you that? You know, in Bath here. I mean, I'm not calling down the Bath, stream, but I don't think it doesn't look as pristine as the one over there. So I really look forward to going in that area.
I mean, growing up, we used to walk that area. We used to go looking for wilks all along the coast, all the way to Indian Castle. But I never knew there was a spring. We used to see the water in Spring Gut, but we never knew where it came from. We thought perhaps it was rainfall or something like that. But my friend, what you call Grenville Claxton, they used to run a lot of animals from Charlestown all the way to past Spring Gut. And we used to go with them in the afternoons to bring them back. Some of us, on our donkeys and having fun, watering the animals coming back. But I never knew there was a spring. As a matter of fact, when I saw the first video, I called my friend Livingston Williams and I said, "You know about this place?" And he was like, "Yeah, I thought everybody knew." But I did not know. So it was refreshing to see it. There's a lot of undiscovered treasures in that area. I used to go in that very area and further over to Lighthouse to collect barrel cactuses, or cacti, the correct word. Go fishing down at Cane Bay, Brown Hill Bay. We used to spear dive all along that coast. I mean, it is a lot of small sharks we used to catch right there in Brown Hill Bay. Catch them by the dozens, So it was a fun time, going through that area as a small boy, even as a grown man, going fishing and stuff over there. So I know there were treasures there. And people don't even realize there are actually beaches down there. There are beaches. Take it from me. There are beaches down there. These people know what I'm talking about. All right? People think it's just cliff and rocks. No, there are beaches there. All right? So they have seen the value of this. And it's no accident to have scoped this area and see that it's basically uninhabited, unencumbered, and want it all for themselves. I mean, how you as a government can logically think in this kind of scale that you can give away 2,400 acres, 3,000 acres, as if it's nothing, without any consequence. I mean, it's really ridiculous. I mean, Dr. Bartlett asked the question, what does he see when he looks in the mirror? Or when he wakes up, or does he sleep properly at night? He sleeps soundly, because he doesn't care. All right? This project here is a golden parachute for him to exit the scene. He's already in the departure lounge, and you need something to walk with. But don't take us with you. Don't destroy Nevis on your way out. Don't burn us to the ground. And that is exactly what the outcome will be. And those people, those people who are logically saying, along with the Premier, well, we need population. What country in the world, our size, 13,000 people, would logically say, bring 10,000. That is the target we need. And make them all different from us. That is what we need. So in a short time, we become the minority in our own country. I wonder whether I am so upset with some Nevisians right now. So upset that I've said I'm not going to call out anybody. I've made a promise to my party leadership and all that. Some people need to be just put in a corner and slapped.
Calm down.
No, I'm serious, because these are Nevisians. They are Nevisians just like me and you. They have children who will grow up long after we have left the scene. Have they considered what is the future for them? That they will be taking orders from somebody else, not people that look like us? That somebody else who are not like us will be running our country? What manner of people are these?
They're seeing one thing. Are they hearing one thing? billions of dollars are going to come to Nevis, and they believe that they're going to get a taste of the billions. So it's all about selfishness. But go back to your point and to the videos that were shown, because I am learning from these videos what's going on. I'm not too familiar with out there. I've been across the way when Mr. Labour had his farm over there to buy a sheep now and again, or a goat now and again. That's basically it. But it seems to me that that part of the island of Nevis has the greatest treasure on the island. Okay? And our premier is willing to give away that to the descendants of those who went into Africa and control our gold and all our precious stuff. Up to today, they're still controlling them. But the African rose up and said, get out of our country. So they forced them out. And now the children of those colonizers are targeting black people again, where? In the Caribbean. And the funny thing about it, we have black leaders who are willing to give up our natural resources over into the hands of white people for them to, again, seize the power like they had the power in Africa and control us and push us in a corner where they enrich themselves and live handsomely. That should be vexing to everybody. But you know what happened? Fort Thomas, I heard something today, that the government, the Jew government, has given lease to some Indian people to control Fort Thomas with a promise that those people has first preference to buy that property, so they have planned to sell it too. I mean, this is a fort, this is the national treasure. And rather than hold it and develop it up or put it in the hands of local people to develop, they already made up their mind they're going to pawn it off.
But
not to white this time, but to Indians.
It's just, I think it's a reflection of what is happening in our governments around here. We don't necessarily elect the best people to do the work. And the thing is, they get in, and a lot of them are just lazy. Because we should know what we have on Nevis.
Correct.
Everything in Nevis should be catalogued. We should know what our resources are. If you don't know what your resources are, how then would you be able to bring a program forward to best utilize those same resources for the development of the country? And so, because I know, like in the Saddle Hill area, when they were building the monument down there for disaster, Christina disaster, my brother worked on that. As a matter of fact, I helped him work on that. And they were able to extract some stone of some quality that was never being tested as far as I know. I have a rock at home right now, and I swear that that is some kind of precious kind of material. I have not had it tested, so I'm not going to go out there and say what I think it is. But I'm saying that these are the resources. We ought to be able to go out there, have everything cataloged. We have people in planning. Someone ought to be able to say to the government, to inform them, look, if you're going to use this portion of Nevis, this is what it is best suited for. Don't just bring people and dump them there and leave the responsibility up to them for them to be able to come and get their own water. They know that water is there. It's not going to take them as much to develop water in that area as we have been in terms of using our resources to make sure that we get water from places that maybe it's much more difficult to get water from.
You know how much wells are in that stretch of land
A lot.
from Long Point, from the dump all the way over to the lighthouse? You know how much wells are in that area? Dozens.
Yeah, but they don't know that, and they don't, or if they do know that, they have not shared that.
I'm just making the point that there's water there.
Yes.
And these are shallow wells. They talk about 80 feet, 100 feet. There's a gut just back of the dump that we used to use before they had a dump there.
Solid waste.
Yeah. And and that well, I mean, it was so close to the water, but the water was not brackish or anything like that. And we used to use a lot of that water. When you drink that water, and you go over further, and there's a series of wells. And so you're right, Dr. Bartlett. Nobody has really taken the time to catalog to see what is possible in that area. I, for one, believe that, things like Sea Island cotton will do very well in that area. You have water there, so it's self-sufficient in that. So you have this huge expanse, and they used to plant a lot of cotton there from Coxseed come back this way and going back to Indian Castle. Cotton is $18 a pound US. I mean, we have so much potential in that area if you only take the time to have a strategic plan and develop the area. First thing you have to do as a government, put in the roads, put in the power, the water, and the telecommunications, and let Nivisions develop the area. You have enough space there for a special economic zone. You have enough space there for a hotel development. You have enough space there for affordable homes and high-end homes. You have enough space there for everybody to fit in. To take all this expanse and give it to one entity and say, do with it as you will. You know, it is really, to me, treasonous.
But you know the sad part, though, if I may, sorry to.
Sure, no problem.
I couldn't let it pass.
Yeah.
We have had developers, our local developers, who have had projects that were ready, shovel-ready projects, and they have not been given the kind of reception first from this administration, nor the encouragement or any other resource that they wanted to move forward. Sometimes it was just a signature to say, well, we endorse this, let you go on to the next phase that you can get the financing that you need to advance your project. And so we have had projects that have languished right here in Nevis from Nivisions, and they have not been given the time of day.
You could call names. You could say Dion Daniel.
Well, yes.
He had a project over there at Bush Hill.
He had two.
It's still on paper. Or two. I know of the one at Bush Hill.
Well,
I saw
Port Daniel as well. You know,
okay.
Port Daniel.
Okay.
That bad people should have been able to benefit from. And then you had Atlantic View as well. And so it might just have been that they had to concentrate on putting in the roads. Everything else probably would have come after.
What became of Atlantic View Hotel?
Maybe. I'm not speculating.
Listen, it's 21 minutes after 9. We're on Tell Me. We will start taking your phone calls from 9:30, and we promise that we're going to do a little bit of overtime. Let me get to Mr. Christian from Antigua, though, because he spoke about some of the failings of projects in Antigua under their special economic zone. So this is about 5 minutes, but let's get to it.
So what has the nation of Antigua and Barbuda gained from these special economic zones that have been proposed over time? And it's been quite some time that we've heard these words. Help us to understand what they are to Antigua and Barbuda and what benefits, if any, we've derived.
I'm going to start by saying a big no as far as what benefits we have received. None. Okay, so that's this is where I start. What I can then move on to do, with your permission, is to explain what they intended to achieve. But as in our experience in Antigua and Barbuda, we have not achieved them. These economic zones are intended to accelerate economic development in our island states. And bearing in mind that we have limited natural resources, yes, we have our beaches and so like in Antigua and the other Caribbean islands, but our biggest resource is our human resource. And we need to provide opportunities for people to develop and not remain as just maids, if you want to put it that way, in somebody's household or what have you. And so the special economic zones were, I can't say developed, in the Antigua, they're proposed. But as I said earlier, being a dismal failure. If we start with the first one, was, I think the area is called North Sound, I could be wrong, with Data Tan Kehak, which was how many years ago. And this was supposed to be the rising star that's going to really accelerate development in Antigua and Barbuda, provide employment for people, even opportunities for people themselves to develop their entrepreneurial skills. But the only thing we got out of that particular development or that particular idea, let me not call it development, is a kick in the butt. Because the only thing that the developer really did was to begin importing arms into Antigua for unshipment to Colombia, obviously using the fact that they didn't have any duties to pay. There was very lax oversight of their activities. And so they were bringing guns and ammunition into Antigua and unshipping to Colombia. So we had the guns to Colombia scandal. And that basically brought an end to that particular development. Then more recently, another development was started. WISE, I think it's called, Western Imperial Special Economic Zone. These people had approached the previous administration, the Baldwin Spencer administration, for the concessions to establish this zone. And it was reportedly declined. And reports, and I say reports because I haven't confirmed this, reports are that they then went to what was then the opposition party, now the government, and sought support for that project. And the then opposition party, now the government, agreed to grant them these concessions without learning from the experience with Datatan and the North Sound development. And actually reportedly signed off an agreement before coming to government, undertaking that should they regain the governance of Antigua and Barbuda, that they will permit this project to move forward. But obviously there was a quid pro quo, that's the term, I think, and let me leave it right there. And what we have seen is that after 11 years, because this agreement was signed off in 2014, a little before the elections, and after 11 years, we have had zilch.
That's not strange to us in Nevis because we have the newfound issue. It is 19 years later, nearly 20 years later, and those lands which were sold and allowed to be sold by a CCM government are still down here at Pennies untouched. Not a thing has happened. What stands out for me in the Antigua example that was given by Mr. Christian is the 1989 Guns to Colombia saga, where I think it was nearly 500 guns were intended for, according to what I remember, intended for the Antigua Defense Force. They were transferred in Antigua from one ship to the next and ended up in Colombia. But not just in Colombia, in the hands of the Medellin cartel, along with thousands of rounds of ammunition. When they had the inquiry, because it became a hot mess in Antigua, when they had the inquiry, I believe a minister lost his job. Lost his job. And here is where we are here in Nevis now. You're talking about a special zone in Nevis, where customs for these people is not the same as customs for you and me. They are going to be duty-free. Duty-free meaning customs don't watch these. So this is exactly what can happen in St. Kitts and Nevis with the arrangements that we have.
Not only duty-free, but remember, they will have a seabed lease.
Yes.
On which they can build their port. So they don't have to come through regular customs. When I spoke to the customs people, the Customs Act is quite specific. There are two approved customs ports, Charlestown and Long Point. If you're going to put a third port that is private, you have to go into the parliament and amend the constitution again to allow a third port. In which case now, you'll have to put, since it's an approved port, the government will now have to decide
Customs, immigration and security.
Exactly. So the same thing. We don't know, because the Premier has not released the names of these investors. We don't know who else is going to come. We don't know the backgrounds, whether they're crooks or priests. We don't know anything about these people. And I think Dwight Astafan and Charles Wilkin alluded to it. We ought to see and be able to vet who these investors are to protect ourselves. Because if you're going to have persons operating their own port, where they're free to move back and forth at will, without your having oversight and your control, anything humanly possible that can go wrong will go wrong. And that is exactly what we are telling this government. And in response, you know what Mark Brandy's response is? Another finger in the dam. Another way to plug our criticism. Or we are encouraging them, rather than building their own port, to invest in the Long Point port. Where you find this man? Where do you find this kind of person? So, these persons, you're asking these persons who want their own port, don't bother with that. Don't bother with all this seabed lease and all this nonsense. Put your money in Long Point. So when they put the money in Long Point, what influence do they have in Long Point? What changes?
They have control. They will take control.
No, you're gonna have a section which is duty free. Duty free over here, and you have no control over that section. By the way, it's 9:31. The phone lines are now open, so you can call in and hear your concerns. And we're going to encourage you tonight. Just give us your story nicely and quickly, and don't give us the whole thesis tonight, because we already started late. So, but we want to hear from you. So call in and let us know what's on your mind. And the numbers that you can use to reach us tonight are 469-7953, 669-7312. If you're overseas, 917-460-2187. I tell you again, 917-460-2187, 669-7312, 469-7953. Those are the numbers you can use to reach us tonight. And I see the Facebook page is busy. Good evening, caller.
Good evening.
How are you doing tonight?
And giving God the glory. Thanks be to God. Good evening to you guys, and good evening, Dr. Bartlett. And thanks for the greetings in advance. Now, my concern is these people who want to set up the special zone. These people who have citizenship over 10 years. These people who know that we had a pandemic in St. Kitts Nevis and the rest of the world. We haven't heard a word from them. They haven't donated a school book to a school. They haven't donated 2 sheets to the hospital. They are said to be multi-millionaires. Tell me Nevis means to them if they haven't made a contribution, knowing their intention. Everybody try to butter you up and noise you up when they have good or bad intention. They refuse. And then you're talking about a scholarship and you must apply now. You remember we had about a scholarship from Winson? $1 million US? Not a bloody soul get a scholarship up to this day. I believe these people had a conversation with our Premier. And he tell them exactly what to tell us. Because they give him the 5% and they put him back something there, just as was happening in our federal government. These people doesn't have no use for Nevis. Absolutely none but what they want for themselves. And let me drop in this. I just follow Obi, right? And Obi keeps saying, not once, not twice, not 3 times he said, they got instruments where you could stop it in the ear and know what's going on under the sea and under the land. And I'm convinced, now more than ever, something out there what they want. They got more money than us, and they said they're going to develop geothermal. I'm wondering out loud, do we have geothermal out here too? Good night and goodbye.
Have a very good night, caller. Hello, good evening. Good evening. I think we lost that person, so all the lines are now available. Let's take this one. Good evening, caller. Hello, good evening. Good evening, caller. Okay, not hearing that one, so let's try another one. Hello, good evening. I have absolutely no idea what is happening to this phone. The volume is up, but I'm not hearing anybody on it, so the devil is in this particular phone. 4697953 is working just fine. Hi, good evening.
Yeah,
good evening.
The line is working on my end, so I'm going to be disturbing you guys all night. Let me tell you something, right? When you're hearing from Doya Astafan, Sam Conda, and the father of the AG, that is when you have to separate politics and recognize this is a Nevis issue. These guys don't got nothing to gain. They're not trying to win no election. They're not trying to make no money out the deal. They are genuine people who cares about what is happening next door. And I'm appealing to the people of Nevis. Let me tell you, left your politics outside the door, man, and come inside, sit down and listen. You don't have to listen to NRP now, because you're hearing voices from Anguilla. You're hearing voices from Antigua. And nobody who out there is saying they think it's the right thing. You realize who one think is the right thing? The people who got something to gain. The ordinary people who cares about Nevis and St. Kitts. They are telling you that is not the right move. They don't agree with it. They're not in the politics. Lord God of Israel, let us forget NRP and CCM and just think Nevis. And remember, we still want to say Nevis nice. Because you know what? If 10,000 people come in a Nevis over in the enclave, Nevis belongs to them. Because we cannot go over there. But they could come in here, so they're going to get more space than us. Good night and goodbye, you're gone.
Thank you very much. Good evening, caller. Okay, seems like we're having issues with 6697312, but 4697953 is working just fine. And you can call us on that 917-460-2187 number as well. So I'm having some challenges here getting the cell phone online, but keep continuing trying to call us, and we're going to keep trying to answer you.
Pico, the way to go for residential, commercial, and industrial wiring, data, security, UPS, and generator installation. When you need electrical work done now, done right, done at an affordable price, contact Finney's Electrical Company. Call or WhatsApp 665-1916 or email pico_1166@yahoo.com. Pico, the way to go.
If you are drinking plastic bottled water, chances are you're consuming plastic contaminants, BPA, and other hormone-disrupting chemicals you cannot see with your naked eye. Those empty plastic bottles take up to 450 years to decompose. In the meantime, plastic bottles are polluting the environment. They are dangerous to the planet and our health. The safer solution is to acquire your own Kangen alkaline water filtration system, and you'll never have to buy toxic bottled water again. Help save the planet and drink clean water for less than the price you'll pay for acid plastic bottled water over the next few years. The Kangen technology is the world's most popular, most acquired water immunizer. For more information, you can call or WhatsApp us on 917-207-1307. That's 917-207-1307. Change your water, change your life.
Thank you very much and welcome back. Good evening, caller.
Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening.
And good evening, Dr. Good evening. So, Flores called a while ago and speak of something. I'm a caller name. There's a gentleman in the States living in the Miami, Orlando area named Buba. From the very first time this SSD thing broke, Buba said there is something over there that these people need. He said there are satellites that they have and they can see below the surface on the earth and on the sea. And he put this that there's something over there that they realize is there that they want. That's one. Two, he said when you bring 10,000 people and they have their way, just now, they have more arms and more military than think it's needed. So what if they try to overthrow the government in think it's needed? Who will stop them? Good night, gentlemen and ladies.
Thank you very much. I think we've sorted out the cell phone issue, so let's try that. Good evening, caller.
Good evening, Carla.
How are you tonight?
You and your guests. Who we have in the house? A guest from Antigua?
No, we have Dr. Bartlett from Brownhill.
Oh, Dr. Bat. I met her mother today down the Port Zante, you know.
Well,
Wait till she don't pick up jam down.
no, if you met her mother, you're lucky because she passed on. You met somebody else.
I met one of them mother. I can't remember who she told me she is. Either she mother or she sister, you know.
Okay.
Carla,
Yes, go ahead, John.
we can't afford to let this special zone go dead, you know. Because Miss Daniel got Mark where she want him. He got to show us he could cheat election and he good at it. See? And that ain't gonna work this time. Not he carrying out of this. We gotta carry the fight for them. But Pally, the state at St. Kitts and Nevis, we want some answers from the two leaders and the running. They wouldn't come and explain themselves. There's a lot of things we want to know, you know. A lot of things. I was surprised they went over Tabernacle today. And a lot of young people asking me, what the SSZ is about? No explanation from government. Not even the vagabond over there. And this dirty fella down here. No kind of explanation. And these is the kind of people running a country. We're not tolerate that. We want this thing, St. Kitts Nevis, we want this thing resolved peacefully. We don't want a riot. We're going to mash up to go build nothing when Janice got there and Timothy control down here. We want people to go and vote them out. Get rid of them once and for all. Have a good night, Carly.
Thank you very much. We'll stay with the phone lines. Good evening, caller. Hi, good evening. Good evening, caller.
Oh, good evening. Yeah, I'm here, Jam them on the next line. Yeah.
You got to turn down your system on your end because Jam them gone long time.
Oh, yeah. Oh, sorry. Oh, Carlisle, a couple of things. Carlisle, we got a move away. Carlisle, we got some small issue, but they're great. I have never known that I would have lived to see this in my life, where the government is doing PRO for the investors. I think that has long gone. You hear me, Carlisle?
Loud and clear.
Hello?
Loud and clear.
Oh, yeah. I think, and you know, Carlisle, what surprised me now, the government and the people are at war. How you gonna have a country Premier and Prime Minister, where the people, the government are against the people, or the people are against the government? We are at war. Because, when you look at Indonesia, not Indonesia, when you have this other zone, the
Prospera in Honduras.
Honduras, that's 44,000 square miles. Prospera only upon 1,000 acres. And the people up there make nice. Nevis 36 square miles. And they don't got 2,000 acres. And they say we must make nice. And it's six square miles they're going for. So they're going to left us with 30. Carlisle, I'm telling you, I am not really pleased about this. I don't speak about small business, everything, all the issue, but I never know we would have been at war. Now, one last thing. Over on the south side and all the lower lands, remember Nevis is in a sweep. So all the minerals, everything gone on the lower land. The south side always be the richest side of a country. Always. They always tell you that. The south and the north, they always be the rich side. We got things over there, and if the brother went today and he say he find oil, and he find the water, and he find the well, and he find different things over there, we should not stand to give away the land. Well, not give away the land, but let other people occupy it. And one last thing, I know parties on your program. You know, they already approached some people who barter the land, barter the zone, to buy them land and the property and give them land elsewhere. So Brown Hill might soon go part. I got space. They want Hot Valley to buy. Every space land in Nevis, they want. We don't got money to go with these people. And the government has not helped us. Sorry, good night.
Thank you very much. You have a good night. Hello, good night, caller.
Good evening, Carlisle.
Yes, good evening.
Good evening, Tulu. Good evening, Dr. Bartlett. Good evening, Dr. Daly. You know, folks, this week I think I saw a video where Dr. Jew handing out land titles in Sinkits.
Mm-hmm.
I find that to be very interesting, that he is handing out land titles in Sinkits and trying to get Navijans to sell their land, to give up their land. I mean, you know, it's just crazy. But Dr. Daly, a couple of things. You would have indicated that that area would be good for cotton. I'm telling you, if you go out there now, you're going to find cotton trees flourishing. As a matter of fact, Jermaine Brown, who did one of the videos, just last week, me and him had in the conversation, and he came back by me this week and he said, Gene, boy, you're right, you know, the cotton tree and them out there flourishing still, right? And so, you know, people just, what hurts me is the fact that our forefathers built roads, coastline roads, from Baton Village go right around to Zion. And then there's all these connecting roads from Brown Hill and Cox and Gingerland coming, meeting the coastline road. And all you have to do is simply put in the infrastructure. And those lands have already been developed. Sure. When NRP in 2006 came to government, when we're putting in the roads up in Nugent's Heights, everybody complained. We're putting in roads where nobody lives. Look at the area now. Same Ramsbury in the 1980s. You know, roads and things, and the area get developed. I mean, so look at Cherry Garden. Cherry Garden used to be the same type of land for the south side. Look at Cherry Garden now. People out there having the fruit trees and everything going, right? What we have is just a lazy government, people who have no vision of how to move Nevis forward, right? But want to just give away our patrimony to foreigners.
Thank you very much. Jean told me about Springott last week, Thursday. And then somebody confirmed it again. And I've been to Springott myself. So we're going to take a little pause because we've been busy with the phone lines and you have not had a chance to weigh in on anything over the last, since we opened the phone lines at 9:30. So any comments? Yeah, it is very good to hear from the people. So if you have anything to say now, because we open the phone lines, they're going to get busy again.
Just a concern that was raised by one of the callers as it relates to our national security, and that is serious because we know that we are not in a position to ward off nothing, not even if Dr. Daly took up something tomorrow, I think, and a few guys go downtown, you know, we'll be able to hold off the fort, and we don't have any cannons any longer. And so we have to be concerned about that. And so it would be interesting to find out what the response would be when that question is posed to the Premier.
Good evening, caller. We lost that caller. Please call back. Dr. Bartlett was talking. I didn't want to interrupt her. So please, the phone lines are open. Call in. Let us know what your views are. We still have a couple of clips to play, but we are going to give you the chance to speak before we try to play the clips. Because once you hear a clip playing, we don't have a pause button on the clip, so we have to let it play until it's done.
Let me say this, Carla, real quick. I am not in a position to say whether they are precious minerals or whatever saleable products are on the ground or under the sea over there. For me, what I can tell you what I see. And what I see is the value of land. What I see is some of the most beautiful land anywhere on Nevis. I've gone to the side of the hill and looked down the vistas, the sweeping vistas, the coastline. The land is the value to me. It's prime real estate. There's so much usage that you can get from it, and that is why they are so hell bent on getting all of it. All right, they don't want any black enclaves within their white enclave. All right, they don't want any areas that they don't control. So while people might speculate on any mineral wealth or anything like that, my focus is on the land. The land has the real value, and that is why they are exerting so much pressure in trying to acquire it. If you don't know the area, I would encourage you to go on the hike on Saturday and Sunday morning. It is, Carlisle.
Sunday morning, 6:30.
Yeah,
it's free, right?
It's free.
It's free.
Are we gonna get some ATVs?
No, you got to get walk TVs. Listen, somebody has been trying to call with a number ending 45. I had you on hold and you hung up. When you call in, please, if we're in a discussion at a very appropriate point, I'll make sure that I get you on. So if you call and we put you on hold, please hold. Good evening, caller.
My dearly departed friend Haston Daniel once said to me in a conversation when I was looking at lands in Nevis, and I said to him I wanted prime land. And he said to me, his response was, boy, everywhere in Nevis is prime land. Drive around Nevis, you could see sea and mountain. That's prime land. That's what Haston said to me. That still holds true today. Everywhere in Nevis is prime land. Carlisle, just a little bit of history for context. On December 12, 2012, the Honduran National Congress, then presided over by future right-wing President Juan Orlando Hernandez, staged what was called a technical coup against the country's Supreme Court of Justice by dismissing 4 magistrates from the Constitutional Chamber. The reason? One ruling they made that found regulations to create the Special Development Regions, or ZEs, an initiative that would allow for the creation of private cities on Honduras territory, was unconstitutional. But you had a corrupt government who took bribe and forged ahead and placed the people of Honduras in this mess. Now you have a new government who has repealed the law, and these people, prosperous people, are now suing the government for billions of dollars. Carlisle, is about time that our Nevis people understand the value of the land that we possess and what it means. It's our identity, it's our sovereignty, it's our culture, it's our power. White people know that land is power. That is why 400, 500 years ago, they went and took our land, because they then gained access to the minerals and natural resources on our motherland and in the Caribbean. Why are our leaders willing, who say that they're black conscious, willing to give up our lands that our forefathers fought for? It's about time that our people understand that this is beyond party politics. This is about our sovereignty. This is about our identity. This is about our culture. White, racist libertarians do not have any interest in elevating black and brown people. And our people must understand that. And this is my last point. There are a number of people in Nevis who seem to believe in the notion that the only way we can develop ourselves and advance ourselves is if the white man suggested or said to us what we need to do. We seem to think that we don't have the talent, the gift to develop and determine our destiny. So we have to wait on the white man to affirm and to tell us how we need to develop. That is mental slavery that Bob Marley speaks about. And it's about time that our people start breaking those chains and shackles of mental slavery. Stop fooling yourself thinking that the white man is interested in your development and your advancement. Stop thinking that they're the only ones who can determine and chart your destiny. It's about time that our people understand that we can chart our course and our destiny. We don't have to depend on any white libertarians to do such. Thank you.
Thank you very much, caller.
Let me say this real quick, Carlisle. As much as I agree with the caller regarding the fact that we should be able to stand our own, this situation with the SSC falls directly on us as black people. You can't blame white people for this. You can't. You simply can't. And the way I say it is because they can't advance unless we give ground. They cannot succeed unless our leaders give them the power to succeed. So who are we going to blame? Who are we to blame? If you have control of your legislature, you have control of the government, you are in a position of power and authority to decide who comes and who goes, and you give the green light to a certain class or certain ethnic group or certain race of people, well, whose fault is that? If they take advantage of you, well, who gave them that opportunity to take advantage of you?
Oui.
So I want us to focus on the real culprits in this matter, which are the politicians of this country who have forgotten their history and are doomed to repeat it. They're doomed to repeat it. I have gotten calls, text messages, Facebook messages from a lot of expatriates who live on Nevis. And let me tell you something. They are just as outraged or more so
than you are.
Than not from me, but from a lot of us who say we are black. They are more willing to invest in the fight than a lot of us who are claiming that we are black. How do you explain that? How do you explain that? Our leaders are the ones who have sold us out.
True.
Our leaders are the ones who created the opportunity for persons of divergent views and opinions and objectives to come in and take over. We are the ones creating the environment. And so when these people come, and they will come, and they will try to take advantage, who do we blame? Who started it?
Our government.
Okay then.
And you're right, Dr. Daly, because when you have the Premier on more than one occasion speaks about going into Parliament and changing the laws of the country, changing the Constitution to create laws that will benefit the investors.
That's what I'm talking about.
Then we have to blame them, yes, and people need to understand this, you know. The people of this island need to understand that these people will have rights in this country that we will not have.
Gentlemen, I keep hearing people talk about changing the Constitution. It's not so easy to change the Constitution. You don't just get up and change it. There's a process. Good evening, caller.
Good evening to you, caller, and to the entire panel. I have a quick comment, question. I hear Destiny have jobs and jobs and jobs, and people done applying for all of these jobs. Anybody know what kind of jobs them have? Ask him for a friend. Right?
But it's a very good question. That is one that should be asked on Monday. I see that there's a radio station here in Nevis advertising jobs in Destiny. I see Times Caribbean advertising jobs in Destiny. Destiny, I don't know if it's Destiny funding those ads, but they ain't spend the money with 2020. They're like the government, they don't like us.
Let me ask you something. From on the Destiny website itself, and I've published it on my Facebook post page. It says this is a residential community.
Residential.
This is not an SEZ where you're export oriented. You're sending stuff out to make foreign exchange. You're employing people in companies to make foreign exchange, to make equipment. Something like what happened now in Port Salto Industrial Park. We got all these high-tech companies selling out stuff, servers and all kind of things. This is being advertised and sold worldwide as a residential community.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what kind of jobs are in a residential community?
Cleaners.
I live in a house. Pat live in a house. You live in a house. We all live in houses.
No, I live out in the bush.
What you need to do? Clean and clean. Cut the yard, cut the hedge. Make sure the fence line clean. What else is it to do? Clean the pool, feed the dog,
yeah,
babysit the children. What is it to do? So when you're talking about jobs, what are you talking about? Cleaning my toilet? And you won't give up your patrimony forever and ever for the opportunity to brush somebody's toilet, to cut their hedge? I mean, how do these guys look themselves in the mirror and say this is a good idea?
But you are saying something different to what the Premier, because the Premier would have indicated that inside his zone will have 3 upscale hotels.
Did you listen? Did you listen to the reveal 2 Sundays ago?
Yes.
Did you hear any mention of any hotel?
No.
Have you seen any indication in any literature of any named hotel that's supposed to come?
No.
Did you see on the website, this is a residential community?
Residential community.
So where the hotel?
People, I'm just saying that for the people to understand, all those who are signing up and believe that they are going to get jobs and jobs and jobs in these high-end hotels, they need to understand that there will be no hotel.
Tulu, that's why I want you to talk straight.
There will be none.
Because if somebody just heard you and then left to go to the fridge to get a drink, they heard you say that there will be 3 upscale hotels.
No, I said the Premier said that.
Yeah, but...
there will be none because the investors has not indicated, has not said one time that they will have even one hotel in that
They're
zone.
supposed to break ground.
There's a residential.
They're supposed to break ground next year, 2026, on their 10-year plan, 2026, 2036. You think they just walk up to a developer and say, I want a hotel? You think they just do that? It takes years of planning.
So again, the Premier who...
We have not even sorted out the water situation, the power situation. Now they're saying, and the Premier is saying, these people will invest in geothermal.
Geothermal, yeah.
From the way back when I said, listen, watch geothermal, they're going to want it.
You did.
All right? Because if they're going to do any crypto mining, they're going to need a lot of power.
A lot of power.
If they don't do crypto mining, it means that our power grid will have to be in play for years and years and years to provide them with power. Because what are the alternatives to geothermal? For members to this is 70% at minimum renewable energy.
Solar and wind.
Solar, wind, wave.
Waste to energy.
Waste to energy, all that. Have you seen any indication that these guys are have they said anything about any source of power at all? None, because the intention is, and the law provides them to, they will aim to, then not shall. Not shall. Shall is definitive. You're obligated to. But here in this legislation, they say they're going to aim to provide power. It means, therefore, Garth Wilkin, when he came out swinging in the idea of sustainability, he was lying. Because he was hanging his hat on the sustainable argument that this zone will have their own power, and it will not happen like that.
Stick up in, gentlemen. Good evening, caller.
Good evening, Carla.
How are you?
I'm doing well. I just want to say a few things tonight. One.
Go ahead, we're hearing you.
The one, the Premier and the Prime Minister, they cannot change the Constitution. It takes more than them to change it.
Correct.
That's one. Now, this Junkins trooper that we have, you see the chicken is coming on too, because all this man is saying about the development going to come. But he's not giving people the real information. Maybe he don't have it. Because if he going to say he going in the house to amend the Constitution that they can't vote, well, where in this world you could tell a citizen he can't vote? So clearly we're going to have 3 countries in Sinkis Nevis. So you're going to have 2 going to take part in the federal, 1 take part in the election, and 1 observe. But I believe this man, he's sick in the head. He reached a point where he don't know how to tell the truth, and he's sick. And he just need to pack up and go, because I think he's a liability on the people of Nevis. And I don't want Nevision to think that this is an NRP thing. This is sovereignty. All hands got to be on deck, because the pirate is here again. The pirate is here again. So I believe, and I will say this, no people who sign up for land sale, I think they need to go back and say, listen, me no be know why you do. So now we find out, we want back my land, deal off. I don't know how possible that be, but I think we have to do something, and we have to stand up for our country. We got to stand up. We can't let these guys come in. And me tell her, me not going away with no white money. Me not going away with them. Because me am black man, we conscious of black. Me know what we get leaking for. In thing, I will forgive them, but I got to watch them closely. Good night.
Thank you very much. Listen, I hear people talking about this white thing. I don't see white people, black people, and Indian people. I see people. I have some very good friends who are not the same color as me. So I am one of those persons. So I sorry, but I don't see white people and all of them bad. Red people, Indian people, I see people. And you have to prove to me what you are and that you are bad. Because I also see Mark black. Bad. So I
call all of them name.
Exactly.
You can't call one name and leave the rest.
Listen,
all them bad. Mark bad, Spencer bad, Troy bad, General bad, Zook bad, Drew bad, Congress bad, all them bad.
Douglas bad.
Douglas, all them bad.
But no.
Because they have betrayed this country here. They have betrayed this country. All right? And me ain't gonna be light on none of them. They need to repeal this bill, because they have sold their souls at the expense of the people of St. Kitts and Nevis.
Carlisle, I think I want to support the observation that you made. I think that we have to be careful here, because we're mixing things. I don't think that the focus necessarily should be on what the color of the people are, because or what the color is. The focus is that we have billionaires who have been able to buy influence. And that is a dangerous thing in these places, because we are so broke, it is likely that we would cut a deal with the devil, it seems. And so the fact that the people are white, in context, yes, we know that they would have, left, and we're glad that they left. And we realize that, as Joe said in his song, they're coming back again. But coming back again with the kind of influence that they're getting, I think that is more concerning. Because once you can buy a government, it means that you can pretty much come in and take over the whole country. And that is very concerning. And so we have to start looking again at the issues related to campaign financing. Because sometimes one of the stories that we heard earlier from Antigua is that the people who were offered or deals were made even before a particular party entered into government. Mm-hmm. So why would you want to do that? And what do you secure that agreement with? And so unfortunately, it seems as if people are securing our government. And right now it seems, and I'm so uncomfortable about it because it seems like our government is being taken over. Because if you look at the bill when it went to the House, that is not something that originated with us. No. And it means that these billionaires are already creating laws in the country. And that is a dangerous thing.
You have to look deeper than that, in that the bill that was discussed was totally different when it was gazetted.
Yes.
Because somebody probably looked and said, hey, take out that.
Manipulation.
Yeah, I strongly believe that. Anyway, let's listen another short clip.
Essentially, government never sees control, and therefore they are at all points in time able to guide the process. I think that anything other than that, where you are giving to the developer their own rights to do certain things, means that you're always when once the community is indeed gated, and there's no particular opportunity for government representatives to freely move about as they would with other developments, then already you're behind the curve, because it means that there will be things happening that you just don't know. The whole idea of the zone is that they are now creating their own lines of separation. So I think Mr. Christian is correct. Whether it's on a macro level or even on the smaller development level, it is that government doesn't cede control, which I think is very different from what this creature is.
And this is exactly what we have been saying here in Nevis for this SSZ bill, where the government is abdicating its responsibility and giving up control, so that what we will end up here with, if this ever comes to pass, is the state of destiny within the minor part of the state of St. Kitts and Nevis. So destiny, having their own everything, and I hope that when Destiny create the flag, they put up a flag with dollar signs on it and a picture of Mark and Drew, so that people could see.
Destiny will control the rest of Nevis. When the Premier is saying Destiny is going to take care of health care, they're going to develop the seaport, they're going to develop geothermal, they're going to develop hospital, the education system, and the infrastructure. It says that Destiny will be in control, because who control the money and control the land? They have the power. And so the Premier has basically said to the people of Nevis, I am going to put your livelihood, I am going to put your lives in the hands of the developers. It is clear. And I do not understand why some of us can't see this.
Well, it is, what is frightening to me is that part of the SSZ legislation that affords the developers to expand beyond the demarcations of the zone and to keep buying properties to join what they have. The law as it stands right now gives them that right. Right? They have not said, the legislation didn't say you are confined to this area. The legislation clearly says, once you acquire additional property, you can join it to the existing SSZ zone.
But Dr. Daly,
and if that doesn't give you cause to pause, I don't know what else is.
There is an even more frightening thought, because Destiny, or the people who are doing the real estate work for Destiny, are offering land exchanges from inside the zone to outside of the zone, which means that Destiny, or somebody representing Destiny, already has access to land outside of the zone, because you can't tell me I have a little 10 acres in the zone, let's trade, and they say 1.5. So they're going to give me 15 acres outside of the zone. They have land outside the zone. They've been buying land outside the zone. Yes. Since when they've been buying? Where have they been buying land outside of the zone? Why have they not been confined to the zone?
The zone has not yet been declared.
And so,
as a matter of fact, it could extend to outside of what we are saying that we saw on the sketch.
Might be more than 2,400 acres.
We have been assuming. We have been assuming. I think it's a big assumption. And not necessarily wrong, but it's a big assumption that the zone must be contiguous. There's nothing in the legislation that says you can't have areas that together can create a zone. So, for example, if you have 200 acres at Long Point, and the areas be along Long Point and to the north and south of Long Point, the people don't want to sell. So you got 200 acres there. You have another 200 acres up at Coxheath or at Butlers or wherever. In total, the legislation allows you to accumulate those lands, make an application, you have proven ownership or lease, then you can say, listen, this SSZ, while it's not contiguous, it's still an SSZ. You have that flexibility. I'm not saying it's going to be like that. I think they prefer to have one big swath of contiguous land. But there's nothing to prevent them, by legislation, to have several enclaves which together create the SSZ.
No, but really though, the Premier has been on record as saying that if you only have 1 acre.
True.
So things have been changing.
Yes.
Depending on who he's talking to, depending on the audience. You know, he has been changing these different provisions.
Hi, good evening, caller.
Good evening. Carlisle, I'm listening to the program, and I'm convinced that these people came with the plans. If the Prime Minister and the Premier had sit down with them people, they could have never, ever come up with these plans and agreed to it. Now the Premier talking 3 hotels, the man talking about dwelling houses. And the jobs are not going to be available to Navy-Johns, you know? Because let me tell you something, they got cheap labor out in the world. And you cannot tell them they cannot bring in people in the country. Because remember, over there belongs to them. I don't know any name going to be. Over there belongs to them. And they could get cheap labor, and Navy-Johns going to be wondering where were the jobs that was promised. I am just hopeful that the Premier would shed some light when this question asked Monday. I am not going to be there because the cart is before the horse. This should have been a discussion before they go in the house. And I am saying, and I would say it again, if the Premier thought it was a great idea, he'd have been shouting from the rooftop. He denied knowing about it in July, and in July they're in the house. That speaks for itself. Good night and goodbye.
Thank you very much. Let me say a huge thank you to a good friend of mine, Ian, who has sent us a little sponsorship for some of the overtime. I'm hoping that somebody will make up the difference for the first hour. Well, we're not going to do more than 1 hour overtime tonight, by the way. So I'm hoping that somebody would make up the difference. We just short of $50. So somebody send me $50 to make sure that we could cover 2020 time here tonight. But Ian, I am eternally grateful. Pat, I think is you, because when you were supposed to come on, he did say that he would sponsor some overtime. So you're here tonight, so I believe that this is Pat money.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, but just so
thanks, Ian.
2020, our finance man, he keeps a keen eye on the money. So when you run overtime, he normally would make sure that you remind me we did some overtime. So I don't know what the bill for on target is, because they're going 4 and 5 hours nowadays. Let me go and check our sponsors, but we're coming back because we still have a lot to talk about. This SSZ matter is hot.
Pico, the way to go for residential, commercial, and industrial wiring, data, security, UPS, and generator installation. When you need electrical work done now, done right, done at an affordable price, contact Finney's Electrical Company. Call or WhatsApp 665-1916 or email pico_1166@yahoo.com. Pico, the way to go.
Hi, good evening, caller.
Good evening. I think my 2 cents is that we are at the crossroads because of mismanagement. The reason why we are down this road is because our leaders did all sorts of things with money that you cannot find. A lot of money was dished out from the fund that they have to the Premier, and we see no evidence of the money is being put to good use. And so the Premier has a trail of disaster. Nothing established, but just wanton spending. So they are willing to do anything to generate funds. And they want to do something, they want to well, Mamgayos and tell us they're going to do something. But because the premier has a record of lying and not performing, and then have the nerve to go on radio and talk about people being lazy, but he's being paid huge sums of money and not producing. These people are really gangsters, you know. They are gangsters, white collar gangsters, and they are selling us out for anything. Who you think is going to benefit from the money that they collect? Their families, their friends, their cronies. They don't have the love for the country as our forefathers, the Sim Daniels and all those other guys who wanted the country to be developed, to give us water infrastructure. They don't have that interest, not at all. The other point I wanted to make is that the civil rights movement in the United States was supported by white people. So we got to understand that there are supporters and predators in any ways, but sometimes our biggest obstacles are our own black brothers and sisters, because sometimes they get carried away by the little trinkets that they may receive, the little things that they get from the crumbs that they get from the master's table, and so they will crow. Because I understand that the young man who did the first video was called and vilified because he exposed what was over there. Now, I think maybe the history of Nevis need to be retold to children at school, because there are a lot of things that is happening and is being revealed that we didn't know existed on Nevis. We didn't know that there was another source of a spring like the Bath, like the hot water springs in over at Bath. I mean, I went to school as a child in Bath, and now I'm at Bath, and I see the benefit of that. I've benefited from it. But there's so many things that can be developed. But our leaders lack creativity, they lack vision, and that is why they are willing to allow outsiders who have ulterior motives to come in and take over because they have no creativity. Good night.
Thank you very much. Caller touched on the whole aspect of Nevis being Brooks. Alan Powell told us this a long time ago.
Watch out, let me learn on something. Nevis will Brooks long before the premier ever Brooks. You crazy? Premier will never be Brooks.
No way.
I ain't trying to say that. I'm just looking at the reality.
And I tell you something, after this golden parachute, the premier and his wife and his children, Nevis come Brooks before them. And tell her that.
Well, we already broke. He admitted we are broke.
Okay. Listen, Kanda, on the same matter of ceding responsibility, let me hear from him.
What we are saying that government must not cede its responsibility to any investor, any developer. Government has a far greater and higher responsibility than any other stakeholders. The government must not only promote a productive and efficient economy, but also a harmonious and socially responsible society. We have to remove inequalities and preferences and discrimination. That is the function and purpose of a government, and we must not cede that to anybody.
Gentlemen and lady, here is a challenge. The premier has been in politics in Nevis since 2007. He has been representing St. John's and St. Paul's in the federal parliament. So he has now chalked up some 18 years as a politician in our country. Has a nice little pension and gratuity that will come to him. He has been in the Nevis Island government for 12 years, and he has been the premier of Nevis for 8 years. But you know, when you were younger, you read about the story of Midas, and everything Midas touched turned to gold. Here we have a premier that everything that he touches turned to something beginning with the S, not G.
Sauce?
Not sauce. Sauce is S-A. This, what I'm thinking of, is S-H. is not sauce. So here is the premier. Okay, here is the premier. Hospital, unfinished after 8 years and more than $20 million. Dialysis, he spent $100,000 going down to Guyana and promised that he was going to bring 4 additional machines. People continue to die. The airport can't get a starting point, and they've been working on it since 2015. That is not going any place. Geothermal, Mark Brantley was on the OAS committee that did this study way back, and they issued the report in 2004. So you're talking 21 years. His name is on the report. 21 years. Geothermal is not going any place at all in Nevis. The education system has not seen anything that would make you open your eyes and say, wow, that was done by Mark Brantley and his government. Because the AVEC building in Gingerland, finished. Not a single class has been held in it. There are no plans for that building. Charlestown Secondary School, Mr. Fox, if he comes back to life, would be able to walk up the road and say, yes, that's CSS. Almost look like how it was in 1950 whatever when he was headmaster. Not a lot has changed. The Ivor Walters Primary School, Lord, I wish that that was a model school in Nevis. Every now and again, it's like, you know, when you're young and you're in a family, and it used to be 2 of you, and then mommy and daddy get 2 more, so it's 4, and then they get 2 more, and they add on a little drop shed, and then add on a little drop shed. That's Ivor Walters Primary School. If that were Dr. Bartlett, Ivor Walters Primary School couldn't look so, because I know she proud and she boasting, it would have looked totally different. But these only have a drop shed mentality. Nothing has worked for the premier. Nevis, we have collected, he has collected, his government, more than $1 billion and spent more than $2 billion. The more he collect is the more broke Nevis get. So when you look at this, and the premier was invited to have lunch or dinner or vacation, whatever, on a yacht, and the people started talking in billions, not millions, billions. He probably told himself, boy, I've been a failure so far. But just like they say, a drowning man would grasp at a straw. The premier saw this and said, election coming, if I could only fool Nevis people one more time. If I could only tell them that they're going to get jobs and jobs with this SSZ. If I can only sell out Nevis people one more time, then I wouldn't go down as a failure. And he has been the worst premier Nevis has ever seen. I was thinking that Vance Amri was bad. Vance is an angel compared to this one. And Vance was terrible. Vance did not elevate Nevis. But Mark Brantley, you can't use elevation. Elevate mean you're going up. With Mark Brantley, Nevis has gone in the opposite direction. He has made money. And Nevis has become broke. And so this special zone for him, it did 2 things. It gave him hope that he could fool the people one more time, and it provided a golden parachute for him and his family. But he's going to fight tooth and nail. Don't think he can give it up. Don't think he can walk away, because he still believes that his stuff comes out of his rear end wrapped up in toilet paper and gift wrap paper. He still believes that he put on his pants, he just jump in and put it on one leg at a time. He think he's special. Well, the only special for him, for me, is not that kind of special. It's a different kind of special. We have a problem in Nevis, and the Nevis people must stand up and fight their own fight.
You indicated earlier, when I mentioned the change of the Constitution, you said that it cannot be changed as easy.
No, sir.
But the Premier puts it across like he can go into Parliament, and as they pass this SSC bill legislation, that he can go into Parliament and have that done, because when he's saying that he's going into Parliament to change the Constitution,
the Constitution cannot be changed in the Nevis Island Assembly.
He's going to move it in, down by Jew.
He got 3 seats.
He got Medjo. So he and Joe and the others will get it passed. Kalaki is confident that they're going to get it passed. We don't have to go through referendums to change our constitution.
No.
So he knows that they pass this.
Depending on the legislation, you can pass it without just a majority. Some of them you need serious majority, 8 or 9. But a simple majority is normally the course of action. He has 3 votes he got to sink it with. So all they need is another 5.
And he's confident he's going to get the 5?
He's going to get Drew. And Drew going to make sure he bring along all the others to support it. Because they're not showing any flexibility. They're not showing any give on this. At least not yet. All right? And while it might not be outwardly simple, once they get the numbers, they're going to move. And they're going to make sure they got the caucus before going into vote to make sure they can get it done. I have no doubt about that. And I think given the fact that these guys are in lockstep, both governments are in lockstep, you have yet to hear any or see any daylight between the CCM and the SKNLP. Why wouldn't we think otherwise that they can get it done? But let me go back a little bit to what something Carl was saying a little while ago. All right? Because it's important for us to understand not just the failures of Mark Brantley, but on the other side, why does he keep winning? Why does he keep winning? Even with all of the plethora of failures proven beyond a reasonable doubt, why does he keep winning? And I think that is the area we need to tackle. Because we all know he's beyond saving. He's a total failure. He's been a total failure from since. Why did he win? I mean, we know the last election, we know the circumstance, but he won anyway. He's still the premier. That means he won. And we really need to understand who the man is. He has realized that we as resident Nivision, citizens of this country, have seen through the facade and have been migrating away from him for some time. So he's not interested in investing in us anymore. That is why you're not seeing the roads being done. That is why you're not seeing any effort to make sure everybody is comfortable in their scholarships and there's this and that. Look at where he's focused. He's focused on, one, creating division between us and every other community on Nevis. I mean the resident black citizens of this country. We are not in his corner. He knows that. If you're going to win, what do? You have to start looking at the demographics that are supporting you for whatever reason. Whether they are transactional communities or whether they are looking for some favoritism from the premier. Whether it's local black people who he has divided by separating father from mother, daughter from sister, etc., etc., etc. He has been playing that game for a long time, spreading corruption among people. So the allegiance is to that money rather than to good governance. He has been making sure he is separating the expatriate community from us, meaning the rest of Nevis. He has made sure he's separating the non-national community from the rest of us from Nevis.
How will history judge him?
Very badly.
Stick a pin. We will go to the phone lines. That person didn't wait around, and so we missed that person. Listen to me. Let's come back on the ground because all politics is local. Today, I went up to St. John's, Brown Pasture area. We know they have had an issue up there with their road, and so I went to take a look. This is a road, Upper St. John's, where the premier sent out a video with him walking, sent out a video to show that piece of the road had been fixed. Rain fell, that road is awful. I don't know how anybody in St. John's could vote for Mark Brantley. Because in all areas of the constituency, you will find awful roads. Whether it is Cherry Gardens right next to me or in Upper St. John's. Look at this. And this road, the Premier has been fixing or attempting to fix for the last 6 or 7 years. He sent out a piece showing some of the road that was paved. That's right up at the top. But apart from that, Dr. Bartlett, you can't drive your car up there. Don't go up there in your car. I went up there in my 4-wheel drive.
You should be charged.
For driving on it?
Yeah.
I agree with you. I will pay the charge, but I wanted people to see the kind of representation or misrepresentation that Mark Brantley give to the people of St. John's who've been voting for him for 18 years.
It goes to the point I was making. He goes to exactly to the point I'm making. He does all of these crazy things. The people, for whatever reason, continue to invest their time and their efforts into his promises. We have to really ask ourselves, see a serious question. What is it we want? I mean, is your hatred of NRP so significant that you can't see that these shoes are squeezing you? And you need to reverse course? I mean, we have to really take a deep dive into us, who we are as a people. And I don't think we have invested that time to look at who we are.
Good evening, caller.
Good evening. Gentlemen, I'm listening to the conversation, and my concern is not so much how he wins. I think we should look and see what is happening. There's a step here, there, and everywhere. At election time, people who comes to vote will tell you a story. And I'm not going to say which part the ticket come from, but I'm saying that people come from America could tell you, I get a $300 pocket change. They got people I know one person who's a non-national who usually go home at Christmas time. She works for a lady for years. She had her reservations to go. They called the election in December. The woman didn't travel. She stayed back. Well, if you're not necessarily going home to your family, why you stay back to vote? And so we have to look at why people are voting and who they are. It's more than a division thing. Once you name on the voters list, you could vote. And I am not going to stop saying the electoral office is where the problem is. The Prime Minister who used to demonstrate down there haven't done a single thing since. And all sort of irregularities, because I can bang me out. I worked in NRP headquarters for my party and I had to deal with the electoral office. I had an instance where somebody leave a country and they said they live in town. When I come out on my porch, I could see if they're down the road, because they live down the road from me. You know what they produce? They produce a water bill with Ramsbury at the address. And they were allowed to have the name registered in Charlestown. I objected to the name because they did not live in Charlestown. Up to this present, they do not live in Charlestown. Until we get the electoral office fixed, we're going to be asking ourselves the question. But I am going to tell you one thing. I still believe that God is able. And He's going to intervene in His own time. And so He said in His word, the wicked prosper for a time. And He means flourish, but He means the rest of the world who wicked. Good night and goodbye.
Thank you very much. We played one of the ads before we had to come back for a telephone call. So let's do this second one now.
Do you know what you're drinking? If you are drinking plastic bottled water, chances are you're consuming plastic contaminants, BPA, and other hormone-disrupting chemicals you cannot see with your naked eye. Those empty plastic bottles take up to 450 years to decompose. In the meantime, plastic bottles are polluting the environment. They are dangerous to the planet and our health. The safer solution is to acquire your own Kangen alkaline water filtration system, and you'll never have to buy toxic bottled water again. Help save the planet and drink clean water for less than the price you'll pay for acid plastic bottled water over the next few years. The Kangen technology is the world's most popular, most acquired water immunizer. For more information, you can call or WhatsApp us on 917-207-1307. That's 917-207-1307. Change your water, change your life.
Welcome back. Let me put some numbers on the table. And those numbers I'm putting on the table, 75 million in case the developers default, 23 billion in case Nevis and St. Kitts default. It's 307 times the 75 million. You're talking millions, you're talking billions. I mean, I know that the Premier has never been able to work maths very well, not even if you give him the best calculator in the world. But 75 million if the developers default versus 23 billion if Nevis defaults. What are they going to do? They want to take up Nevis and go with it?
That was calculated. The Premier is hell-bent, as Dr. Daly been saying, and Pat, on having this SSC zone come to a completion. He knew from the beginning that as long as this thing come to the fore, people of Nevis are going to kick up against it. So he tried to hide it. So now he has put that inside there to tell you, listen, hey, are you sit back or else I will be saddled.
But he says that no agreement has been signed yet. Good evening, caller.
Carly, good night again.
It's a great night.
Carly, a National Assembly schedule anytime soon?
I'm not sure. I've not been paying attention recently.
Boy, so we'll pressure at them, you know. And we want to ask these young people what they want, you know. If they're going to help this man give it this country. Carly, I just come from 5 ways area, going home. And if you hear the radio, them through the 5 ways alley, come right back down to Westbourne got in Irish Town. I mean, people just in on this thing. And me, Jam, them asking Nevis young people, please support journalist Daniel. Let me clean up this thing because we gonna clean up down here, you know. Because it's a collusion, Carly. It is a collusion. Man, these girls supposed to run Nevis. They got what it takes. JD and the other lady, they got what it takes. Miss Daniel, they got what it takes. I hear them in some interview. And the whole of Sink It was listening on Sunday. And Carly, you got to play them at the chairman. You have the weapon. Play the a Sunday time when nothing doing. Around 2, 3, like how you do it last Sunday. Play all of them interview. Let's synchronizing young people head. Mark Brantley is a vagabond. He can't change. And he can't kill this election this time. Not he. Have a good night again. Mr. Daly, you're the boss, man. You're the boss. No wonder he try to take from you. Why you good at agriculture? He's a dirty fellow. Have a good night.
Have a good night, caller. We're going to stop taking your phone calls in another 2 minutes or so because there are 4 of us for closing statements tonight and we're not going to run much past 11 o'clock. So if you want to get in, you got to get in now. Make sure that you get in early. Good evening, caller.
Good night to the listening public. Good night to the listening public.
Go right ahead.
And my contribution is simple. 28 years ago, Joe Murphy came to Nevis with all intention and purpose was to buy out Nevis. But Vance Ambry, in his wisdom, did not allow Murphy to establish his wing across Nevis. And he put a leash around Murphy. And let's fast forward. We have a leader now who do not think that he want to see all black people in this country. He prefer to see all whites take over Nevis. Thank you. Have a good night.
Have a good night, caller. We still have some time for a couple more phone calls. So if you want to get in, you got to get in very quickly. And we still have another clip to play from Antigua.
But I don't think we have done justice yet with the disparity between what the two fees are.
The 75 million.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we need to spend some time ventilating that because the reasoning behind it is very important. There's a plethora, depends on your point of view anyway. The initial reaction would be, this is outrageous. That's obvious. I mean, 75 million versus $22 billion. And we can spend a lot of time calculating back and forth what it means. But what is the question we have to ask? What is the objective of this? And I think the most obvious objective is to make sure any NRP government coming in cannot change anything. That's the most obvious one. And the second thing is, if there is any if there's any decision by the government to change anything, it'll cost a lot of money, which nobody can pay. So it means the SSC continues into perpetuity. It means, therefore, Mark Bradley and his wife will continue to reap benefits indefinitely. So it is not only serving the purpose of tying NRP's hands, but also to make sure he continues to reap significant benefits from the SSC. And the last thing, you realize he has 10 acres in his own, which he has not sold. You have to ask the question then, is he a shareholder in his own? That's why he has put this huge caveat on the country by having this $22 billion penalty. You have to understand the man and how he thinks to know that this was calculated to stop NRP from changing anything, and continue to reap benefits for him and his wife going into perpetuity.
Good evening, caller. Hi, good evening, caller.
Good evening, caller. Good evening to the rest of the panel. Caller, the objective here on this whole thing is not to let this thing happen. Okay? We can't let it happen and then try to fight back after it don't happen. The objective is not to let it happen. Okay? Somewhere, somehow. Okay? I think it's going to take more than what's happening now to stop this, because you all know, we know, everybody know, that is not going to stop. That's what we're not going to stop. Okay? Both of them together, they're going to combine forces and they're not going to stop. I've been saying it for the longest while. Okay? The talk should be right now is to remove Mark from government in Nevis. The system government needs to be removed. Okay? And I have so much things to say, right? That's going to take too much time. Okay? When I used to go to school, I never believed in the history that I was taught. It was for one reason, right? The history we was taught told us, right, that there was a handful of white men that come to these islands, right, and went to Africa and colonized us. So I used to say, it's impossible that millions of people is going to stay there, let themselves be captured by a few man ownership. So I didn't believe in history. But it's repeated itself now. You're seeing it. But with our own people. Guys like Mark. And how can we sit and let it happen? That's my problem. Okay? This is not supposed to happen. Okay? And I don't care what it takes. They could say he's violent or whatever. I heard him. I have family calls me and tell me, be careful what I'm saying. I'm telling you right now, the drugs is out. Okay? This ain't no more playing with these guys. Okay? Because they ain't gonna play with us. I keep telling you all, they're not gonna play with us, you know. Okay? And I hope the relative people, right, who like the police and stuff like that is listening too. Because don't think you're gonna come and trample your own people and you're gonna get away like that. King of work. Okay? They're looking for a serious problem in English right now. Okay? And he ain't gonna stop. At no cost, he ain't gonna stop. He gonna go right ahead. If we don't stop him, he gonna go through. Okay? And the Celtic people need to also stop that to do and his administration on there. We need to get rid of them. I can't put it no other way. And there's no nice way to put it. Okay? They don't care about us, so we don't care about them.
Thank you very much, caller.
Good night, guys.
Thank you very much. Okay, 10:49. I still have another clip to play here. I'm missing something though, so bear with me. In the meantime, I don't know if you listened the last of Dwyer Stefan's commentary, but there is a part of the commentary that I want to play.
I'm all for development and progress. Development and progress is meaningless if the people of the country are not at the center of it and on the front of the benefits of it. That's not development and progress. And after all 400 or so years of struggle, bad memories in their own land, of course, transported from their motherland, after so much plunder, thieving, as we call it, and losses, after the struggles to get the land and to preserve the land and the heritage and our patrimony. After all of that, is this where we're going to end up? For decades, we were in gather and preserve mode. But more recently, specifically in the last 45 years, it seems we are in giveaway and sellout mode. We are reversing history, or are we reversing history?
That's the last part that I wanted included. We seem to be in giveaway and sellout mode. And as I keep saying, we have had the experience here with the Chinese. They buy a property from you, kiss that goodbye, not coming back. Not when you have so many of them in China, they would sell to anybody who they don't know who is Chinese, but not coming back in our hands. It is exactly the same thing that could possibly happen. Well, and again, I don't know about you, but I watched the interview with the Gaskills. I think they made excellent presentations on the show earlier this week. And Mr. Gaskill has been very forthright. His son Charles also. They've been very adamant in their position on this issue. And I don't want anybody to tell me that the Gaskills are also white people. They are white people who have contributed immensely to the development of Nevis. And I want you to remember that they have been around here for as long as I am old. So they are not just come to see what they can get from Nevis. They are part of the Nevisian society. They have made Nevis their home, and they are doing exactly what any immigrant should do. Standing up for the I wouldn't even say adopted country, for their country. I have one last clip to play, and then after that, any other things on your mind? And we're going to go past 11 o'clock slightly.
So my thoughts on this would be, I echo what Mr. Christian says, that we should be looking at our neighbors. But I also think that there must be, for every island, there must be what they consider to be their core values. And hopefully within their core values is always the elevation of their people. An elevation not just from their economic standpoint, but also ensuring that psychologically they feel that they belong, they are entitled to feel that they belong, and that they should never feel like second-class citizens in their own country. I personally feel that this concept is one that would never be right for Anguilla, and Nevisians would have to determine whether the concept, even in and of itself, is one for them. And so I would say to them, to their leaders, certainly, there is the mere fact that the people of the island are saying that they were not consulted, and also that even if they are consulted at this point, their severe reservations is not to be trifled, is not to be diluted, is not to be to be pushed under the rug. It is a very careful consideration that should have happened, and the government should feel at fault. And I would say this much: the government should feel at fault that their people feel that they have not been included. So I go back to history, and my closing point is on this. We have come too far through our historical context as a Black people to ever be taking a step where we are making the definitive position of making ourselves less than, of making ourselves inferior to. And this concept is pivoted on the fact that they are wealthy people who are able to treat your country as their new playground. And so the question is whether the leaders of the country, in trying to balance the scales of development, feel that the fact that their own citizens are going to be cut off from a section of their country and cannot enjoy the benefits which they're extending to those who have the money to pay to play is, I think, not one that is elevating your people.
Can't say it any better than her. Words before we go into closing statements? I wouldn't charge this to your closing statement.
Let me say here that white people fought with Mandela and the ANC to get an end to apartheid. White people fought with Martin Luther to try to get rid of segregation in the United States. And we'll always have some white people sided with the Black people, as in the case of Gaskell and many of the expatriates that we have here on this island who are fighting this charge with us. What I am saying, I want people to understand, that I am totally against Mark Brantley and Terence Drew bringing 7,000 to 10,000 people and put them in a zone on the island of Nevis to overpower us. And so we are not against white people. We are against the government bringing in these amount of people and pack them upon us. Secondly, we've been asking, what can we do to force the government hand in relation to this vaccine issue? My mind went back to 1993 when there was an election. The Labour Party felt they were hard done with the result of the election. As far as I'm concerned, the election was fair. But they felt that they were hard done. And they created a ruckus in Barnsley that forced Kennedy Simmons to call election early. I am saying that the people of St. Kitts and Nevis need to come out, don't mash up nowhere else. Shut down Charlestown, shut down Barnsley, and come out and show these two administrations that we are totally against what they are doing to us. Because this thing is going to affect us if it comes into being, not now, just for now, but it's going to have an impact upon us for perhaps the next 100 years or beyond. And so therefore, I am appealing to all of us to come together and to rise up and to show these people that we do not want this. The Premier is on record saying that, well, NRP talking, but the majority of the people are in favor because they're calling for demonstrations and only a couple of people shows up. The same thing happened last month in St. Kitts. People didn't show up and so these guys looking at this and say, listen, the people are not really interested. We need to show them that we're interested. There'll be another protest march in St. Kitts at the end of this month, the very 31st. I'm looking forward to be there. And I'm asking all Kittitians to come out and help us join with Dwyer, join with Sam, join with the QC, Wilkin, and all of us, and show to Dr. Terence Drew, who has the final say on this matter, that we do not want it, or else we're going to put you out. Good night.
Thank you very much, Dr. B.
Yes, Carlisle, it is a troublesome time in our country. We need to make sure that everybody is zoned in and tuned in. We need to continue the fight. We need to continue the awareness campaign that we're on. We need to ask our people to invest in their own fight, because this is not a fight that should be a political fight. This should be a fight for all of our people in St. Kitts and Nevis. Because someone asked the question before, where is destiny, where the margin is going to be for destiny? It seems as if, to me, if they're buying properties all over Nevis, it seems that Nevis, at the end of the day, would end up being destiny. We are being subsumed, and I don't feel comfortable about it. This is not what sustainable development is all about. Not by a long shot. Because they're framing this thing as if it is sustainable development. It is not what sustainable development was meant to look like, because this was supposed to benefit all of the people of Nevis. You asked the question about the disparity between the $75 million that the people who are coming in, if they breach the contract, that they would be paying to us. And next to that, we juxtapose what our penalty would be if we do not accommodate them, because that's what it is. If we don't accommodate them to give them all that they want to succeed in the objective, we are going to be penalized $23 billion. I don't know if that has been confirmed. I'm waiting for confirmation from the Premier. And I know that the question has been asked, and I don't know that he has already addressed it, but we are waiting on that, because that seems to suggest to me that we are not the ones who are making these agreements either. We did not make the law in the first instance. The legislation was drafted outside, it was brought to us and was taken to the Parliament, our Parliament, by our Premier and the AG and whomever else would have been in that cohort right there. And so they are responsible for where we are today. With all that is going on in Nevis, and I mean, you have people in Nevis who are walking around and all they can think about is the SSC. They are so uncomfortable. The stress level has gone to the roof in Nevis. It's almost palpable when you walk to town. All people are consumed with right now is this SSC. And all we're asking for is for them to just repeal the law, because it is a bad act. We understand that other people who would have looked at it, the legal people would have looked at this and said, it is a bad act. Dr. Ju, in all fairness, I don't think that he got an opportunity to really examine it or to even consider what the ramifications were if we were to go adopt this thing. But like I said, I am uncomfortable with the fact that people from outside are driving this thing. Why are they driving this thing? Because it seems to me that our leaders at the top have been compromised. And so it is about time that our people wake up, recognize that these people are not working in our best interests. And we want to make a call. This is a call to action. We can no longer just sit back home and expect that Dr. Daly and Tulu and Carlisle and Dr. Bartlett and whomever else would go out and continue this fight without your support. We need your support. So this is a call to action to the people of Nevis in particular, because we are the ones who are on the firing line right now. We are the test case. This is a pilot project right here on Nevis, and if it succeeds here, chances are it is going to migrate away from Nevis and it's going to go to St. Kitts, and soon it would be taking over the Caribbean, because that, I think, is the ultimate goal of these people. And so it behooves us to make an investment in our defense, because we can't expect that people are going to come from outside to fight for us. And so we're calling people out. Some people are not going to be that comfortable with coming downtown to a march or a protest that NRP would organize. So we are calling on other civic-minded people. You're the ones who should be out there agitating. You're the ones out there who understand what is going on that level. We are political, and we have been branded such, and so people would think us at the front that we are leading a political campaign, but this is not a political campaign. This is a campaign for the heart and soul of Nevis. This is about our patrimony. This is about our people being able to really get a grasp of developing our own country. That is what is the crux of the matter. Because our leaders have failed for the last 15 years. We have not seen the kind of development that would put us in a state so that we don't get fooled by people who are coming with more money than we have. Because that is basically what it is. We have squandered all of our resources, our financial resources, and so now we are at the mercy of people who have more than us. And that is just not justice. This is not social justice. So what is being heaped on us at this point in time, if we do not resist and resist now, it is likely that the Nevis that we know now would not be the Nevis that our grandchildren would inherit. And it would be a sad state, because history would mark us down as the ones who would have failed our people. We can't afford for that to happen. We cannot afford for us to be at a disadvantage as we are now. Compare 75 million to 23 billion. Who in their right mind should accept such a deal or even consider it? They should have been laughed at. But obviously we can't be the ones who would support something like that. So I really don't think that those figures are real. I don't want to imagine that our premier or whomever we have on the forefront who are negotiating on our behalf, I can't imagine that they're that gullible. I can't imagine that they're that desperate so that they would put us in jeopardy to the tune of $23 billion. Because people, our GDP is just $1.09 billion. How many years is it going to take us to wipe that off if we were to be in breach of such a thing? So who would even consider that, to sign on to something like that? It means that they desperately need something that we don't understand, and they need to come clean. If it is that we are broke, let us know how broke we are. Let us know what it is that we're going to have to do to turn this thing around. But we cannot sell our country. We should not sell our country.
Thank you very much, Dr. Bartlett. Now it's time for Dr. Daly.
As usual, Dr. Bartlett, thank you for gracing us with your presence this evening. And to all those who stayed the course for 3 hours. But let me close with this. I've heard many conversations about safeguarding our patrimony and making sure that we have lands for future generations to come. And I have one simple answer, one simple question. If that is the case, if that is true, that our patrimony is all we have left, why haven't we passed legislation to protect it? Why is it we have still got unbounded land sales to people? Developers, so-called developers. Why is it we haven't put limits by how much they can purchase for any development, depending on the type of development? Why is it still an open door policy regarding untold thousands of acres? I've yet to hear any legislator or past or present offer any solution as to how to protect the patrimony. In other countries, you are limited to lease arrangements only. Other countries, you're limited by how many acres you can purchase at any one time for any one project. Here on Nevis, it's an open door. 36 square miles with an open door policy with how much land you can buy. Endless opportunity. But yet we preach about protecting patrimony without going into the parliament and pass legislation that does exactly that. If we had done that, destiny would not be in a reality, would not have been even considered, because they would not have had the acreage they need in the first instance to do what they want to do. This conversation probably will be not, even though Brantley says 1 acre, 2 acre, whatever it is. We know there's a critical mass. And that 10,000, it is indeed the critical mass. That is what they need. But we have given them that opportunity by not restricting, by our legislature, the acreage is available. But yet, we sing a good song about protecting our patrimony. Lip service, as far as I'm concerned, because you're leaving that up to individuals to sell or not to sell, rather than a national policy regarding how much you can sell. It may seem intrusive, but the overall good of the country is what is at stake. The overall good says we need to make sure there is land left for the future generations and divisions to come. We have had that opportunity for us. What about those to come next? So when we 4 miles here and 4 miles there without restriction, then whose fault is that? If we are saying to developers, buy at will, take as much as you want, there are no restrictions, aren't we the ones in control of this country? Aren't we the legislators of the government of this country? Aren't we the government of this country? So all those things that we need to protect, why haven't we offered a single piece of legislation to protect them? To keep off predators that we are now facing. That's it.
Thank you very much. And my closing, but before I close, let me say congratulations to Mr. Carlon Bowen Tuckett, who has been named captain of the Nevis team, which will take part in the Leeward Island mixed tournament in St. Kitts. His vice captain is Theron Busu, and the other members of the team, Ross Powell, Shelton Forbes, Tishon Wilkinson, Jamie Cornelius, Tijari Clark, Akandianto Willett, Colin Archibald, Jaden Carmichael, Onaje Amri, Bojnarain Sharma, Carlton Pluck, Adrian Williams, Kian Pemberton, Rian Solomon, and Kimani Nisbet. Stuart Williams is the head coach, and Tyler Martin is assistant coach manager for that tournament. The team travels tomorrow, and the tournament starts on Saturday. So I'm wishing them all the best of luck on behalf of the Nevis Cricket Association. And then to tell you that the annual general meeting for the Cricket Association comes up on the 16th of November. We hope to have all persons interested in cricket come to that meeting. It's an election meeting, so you come out and ask your questions, see what the Nevis Cricket Association has been doing, and help to elect the new association only if you can vote. So you can't just come as a member who is not a representative, a member of John Public, who is not a representative of a club or of the management, and vote. That's not going to happen. So I want to say again, good luck to the Nevis team down in St. Kitts. And my close is simple. Dr. Drew, you have been in office for quite a while. You have not made an official trip to Nevis as the Prime Minister of St. Kitts and Nevis. I kind of understand that you seem to think that you are the Prime Minister of St. Kitts and Nevis and not of Nevis, and that there is a Premier in Nevis, but you are the Prime Minister of the entire Federation. And I don't think that Nevisians are going to take kindly to you marginalizing Nevis by not visiting Nevis at all in any official capacity in all this time that you have been in office. It doesn't look good. It doesn't look good, Dr. Drew. And so, just the same way that you find yourself in Sandy Point and in St. Paul's and all over St. Kitts, it's not a good look that you don't come to Nevis. And so, you're running out of time, because when you come to Nevis in the future, I mean, even if you come up here with the best town hall, you might have to bring people from St. Kitts to fill the seats, because Nevis people are they're not smiling right now, knowing that you have disregarded them as part of your people in the Federation of Nevis and St. Kitts. Now I done, as Alan would say, now I don't give you your word. let me ask you if people going to get double salary Christmas. Because Christmas coming. And all the noise you make about Timothy Harris, Timothy used to pay double salary. So people want to know if there is going to be a double salary December. Because October done. Next week, October finish. So start telling people. I know you send out this thing about the couple shopping days and so on. What they going to buy with or what they going to replenish with? So please remember that in Nevis we get paid once a month. In St. Kitts you pay the people down there twice a month. You have not been able to convince Mark that people like me, pensioners, should get a little something twice a month. So tell me early if we're going to get a double salary. Okay? I done with you. As Alan said, I done give you a word and I done ask you the question. So don't hold it against everybody just because I say that you don't come to Nevis is true. How I'm signing off though is with this whole issue of jobs. And I saw a piece which was written by Sam Keynes, which makes sense. In 1990, John Stouse went all over Nevis telling people that there will be jobs for everybody. And then when they opened the hotel, they had 5,000 applications and 500 jobs. Is the same thing happening here in Nevis, where the premier is beating his chest and saying, we have had so many applications coming in. Mr. Premier, you sound stupid. Because you're the same one who say you have not signed any agreement yet. So what are the people applying for? You got jobs, and you say truckmen must apply. You say you're meeting now with the 6 farmers, and you're asking people, ads on radio telling people apply for jobs. What kind of jobs are you applying for? Nevis people, are you brighter than this? Are you smarter than this? No agreement has been signed. The people did not talk anything about the 5 diamond hotels that they said they will build in the zone. You don't know what's going to be happening over there, but you're running and signing up for jobs? How smart are you? You must be like me in the 2% people who are not so smart. Because you tell people sign up for jobs, they ain't know what jobs they're signing up for, but they sign up anyhow. Okay, all right. I wish I had the best of luck. You hear? Next week, there will be this town hall meeting that some people will go to and some people will not go to. Whichever way you see it, I'm not vexed with you. Okay? But be a part of the process. Know what's happening here in Nevis. People on the ground, you got to get more in tuned than you are at the present moment. I was overseas last weekend, and every time I turn around in St. John and in St. Thomas, people were asking me about this zone in Nevis and if Nevis people are going to allow it to happen. And you come to Nevis and you find some people here who are telling you, me support the government, and wherever they do, they right. They right with the hospital up there after $20 million too, and can't get it done in 8 years. They right to let the dialysis unit stay out there and rotten after spending $500,000 on it and getting a whole ton of money from the Taiwanese. They right on that too. I want to know when the people of Nevis are going to wake up. I have seen great interaction on this SSZ. People are agitated, people writing, people talking, people phoning. But you got to do more than that. You got to register to vote. And when you register to vote, you got to tell yourself that any government like CCM who could threaten to sell off Nevis don't deserve to be in government. It's time for a change. So let's do the right thing. Register to vote if you're not registered. Go out there and vote for the candidates of the Nevis Reformation Party. You have a good night to hear. We're going to come back next week with more of Tell Me Again. Thank you very much to Dr. Patricia Bartlett for coming in. And you see what happened, Dr. B? When you don't come, you got to do overtime. We're going to see you all next week. Take care.